What's going on, y'all? It is the Let's Be Real podcast. We are on episode 5. And as y'all can see, brought back a repeat guest. Got my boy Joey on here again, man. So obviously, today we're going to go over some football. We're going to recap last week's stuff. We're going to go over this week's football games. Go over a couple of the hot topics that we've seen over the last week or so. And we're going to get into it. Did want to let y'all know, wine of the week, I'm not drinking. We're doing this one Saturday morning again, just for some scheduling stuff. But definitely got the Chateau Landon. I don't even know if y'all can see that because of the thing. I'll put the info down there. This is actually a recommendation I got off TikTok. It is a 4-pack from Costco, y'all. So it's a little bit more price friendly. You get 4 of them. It's about $40. 90-point Bordeaux's. So all Bordeaux's, different styles. This is the first one I've had so far. It was a solid drink. So if you're looking for something a little more on the reasonable price end and you haven't had Bordeaux's or you like Bordeaux's, I would definitely suggest that. But let's hop in here, man. So Joey, we'll start off with Bucks and Falcons. So my biggest thoughts with this one is, man, I thought both teams they played great. Both quarterbacks played great. Mm-hmm. But kind of the outlook on it, I think the Bucks kind of showed me kind of what they've been, for the last 2 years since Baker's got there. Like, they're a really good team. They can hang with good teams, but I don't see like contender level from them. I see like, second round kind of ceiling on them. So kind of what are you thinking about the Bucks, kind of where they land, how they look so far?
Man, it's funny you say that because I have a different outlook. Rarely am I ever going to say a loss was a good loss, but I think that watching the game itself, I was like, both of these teams are really solid, and I felt kind of the opposite as you, where it's like, I think if they played again 5 more times, I feel like the Bucks win the series.
Okay.
There was a lot of times where I thought that they could have closed the door on the Falcons, but Kirk was having one of those Kirk games where out of anywhere he could just throw for 5 and kind of sting you. There were times where Baker just looked phenomenal and the ball rolled a certain way and the Falcons win. And I think that just looking at some of your talking points for later, I think I was able to think about the Bucks in a different light where I'm a little bit more comfortable than I have been in years past with this year's team. And I think that the Bucks look better to me than the Falcons did in that win. Falcons did everything they could to squeak out a win. Kirk had a career night, broke a Falcons passing record, eked out a W. I would say the Bucks played well, but not as good as they've played all season, and ended up losing a tight one. So I feel a little bit more comfortable in the Bucks in general.
Yeah. So, and I get that. Like I said, I coming into the season, I didn't think the Bucks were going to be great. But I mean, they've kind of rose on my like tiers, kind of as as the season's gone on, because I think they've been playing great. And Baker's been phenomenal. Like you said, he did everything he had to do that game.
Yeah.
The reason I don't see him as contender is honestly because I feel like talent-wise, they kind of got like that ceiling. And it's kind of why, leading into the next point, I look at Atlanta where I could see them being an actual contender. Because you have Kirk, who can throw for 500 yards. You got, the talent they have on their offense between, Bijan, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, like
Darnell Mooney too.
Darnell Mooney, yeah. Like, they have so much talent on that offense, and they made some good moves on defense, getting your guy from New England.
The great safety.
So that's where I see them where I can't elevate. I think they're like slightly ahead of the Bucks, which I kind of view them as like bottom tier contenders. Whereas Bucks, I'm like, I feel like they're just below that contender mark. But yeah, so where do you fall on Atlanta though?
I think Atlanta falls right underneath the Bucks for me. The cool thing about this year is that the NFC is wide open. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but the NFC in general is wide open. So a team like the Bucks, where let's say they get a home field playoff game, um, bounces them into momentum, get on a good run, and now all of a sudden they're in the NFC Championship game against a team like the Vikings. Okay, anything that
Yeah.
win a game and get in. So I think that both teams in Atlanta too, like crazy talent across the board.
Yeah.
I think they can make a deep run too. They just got to get a little bit more consistent, man. On the offensive side of the ball, that defense is decent, good, but with all the weapons they have, they just need to be a little bit more consistent. And I really,
Yeah.
really liked what Kirk was doing a lot in the second half, where it was like he was hitting those windows where it was like he'll take his chunks, he'll take his checkdowns, but that intermediate game is where a seasoned quarterback or a good quarterback lives. Like most of the
Mhm.
time, if you're taking a deep shot, you see it pre-snap, or you get a look that you see pretty quick within post-snap, or if you're throwing a short game screen or like a flat arrow or something like that, you see that in pre-snap. You know what the defense is giving you. The intermediate is where quarterbacks go from good to great. That's where you have to make pre and post-snap reads, and then you have to fit the ball in the windows and throw with anticipation. So you're not going to see, you know, we see it all the time with Anthony Richardson. He can throw a mean deep ball, but
Yeah.
hit him on a 15-yard out route or hit him on a comeback or some type of in breaking route, and you see accuracy issues. That's like the
Yeah.
next step of a quarterback. And when you have that in Kirk and you have that in Baker, they're gonna they're gonna be in every game. And you're seeing that with Sam Darnold. It's that intermediate game progression that people are,
Hmm.
that's the quarterback progression.
Yeah. And that was bringing Kirk in. I mean, like you
Huge.
said, because he's so like he's at that level of quarterback. That's why I thought personally it hasn't really shown to be the case. But I thought Kyle Pitts was going to have a breakout year this year.
I got rid of him on a couple of my fantasy leagues, and I was like, got rid of him
Look,
after he goose egged me, and then he comes in with a pretty good game. And I was like, all right, man. But
yep,
he's so inconsistent. He should be Kirk's
yeah,
best friend.
absolutely. Well, and that was my thoughts coming in. Is I'm like Kirk. I mean, especially just looking at his time in Minnesota with Hawkinson, it's like Kirk loves his
He's a
tight
tight end.
ends, and so I'm like, oh, Kyle Pitts is going to thrive.
Yeah,
And but like you said, like they haven't really been able to consistently kind of find their
yeah.
groove offensively.
I
My
think that's
thoughts
coming
are,
though.
and that's what my thoughts are, is as the season progresses, I think they are going to hit that stride. And
Hmm.
once they do, I mean, like I said, the talent on that team, that's why I have them projected
Yeah,
out as like I could see them making a legitimate run.
yeah, yeah. I could too with both of them. I think they're both right there in the power rankings
Yeah.
in my head. I think that either one of them can win a game against anybody, especially in the
Yeah.
NFC.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, shoot. I mean, even going back to the Bucks, we saw them against the Eagles. I mean, when everything's clicking, they
Yeah,
can,
Baker looks good,
they look
man.
unstoppable.
Yeah, he took a
So
step forward.
yeah, but speaking of good quarterbacks, man. So kind of next tier with the next game we'll go over Ravens and Bengals. So
Funky one.
Burrow, Lamar, what a game, man! Like
Hmm.
an absolute shootout.
Hmm.
Um, but obviously with that, somebody had to lose.
And they
Burrow, I
both
mean,
tried to lose it multiple
they
times.
both tried to give it away. Yeah, Lamar with the fumble at the end. Burrow gets him in position.
Hmm.
Kick the field goal. You have the missed snap. But so let's start on the Bengals side here.
Yeah,
So one, I want to ask you a question specifically in the game because it was something that I thought right away was when they kind of get into that 55-yard field goal range after the fumble from Lamar in overtime,
yeah,
three straight run plays.
yeah.
And the
Um,
whole time I'm thinking, like, give Burrow at least one chance at it.
I agree. I agree. I think they tried so hard not to lose the game and ended up losing the game. Um, you have a quarterback like Joe. You have a receiver like Jamar T Higgins. You give him a shot. You throw it like a almost like an extended handoff too. Like if you want to play conservative like that and throw three straight or get three straight runs, let's get like a quick hitter. Let's get an RPO. Let's get something where it's a high percentage pass play to at least get your players out in space, and then go from there. But they made a decision. Obviously, they know McPherson's range. McPherson is a great kicker.
Yeah.
So they probably felt like he's well within his range to make this kick. We run the ball three times and see best case scenario, they get a first down. Worst case
Yeah.
scenario, they get some negative yards. I mean, that would be the absolute worst. They get knocked out of field goal range, but they weren't
Yeah.
thinking that they were going to get any negative yards. Um, but it's just
Yeah.
that's one of those where you see coaches, like great coaches will go against tendency in situational type of events like that, and that's the difference in winning and losing. I mean, for everybody that hates a Bill Belichick or a Nick Saban, I mean, they're like meticulous with the intricacies of the rules. They're meticulous with the intricacies of like what defense is doing situationally. You can sneak out a couple yards here and there and make it an easier field goal. And I think that coaches do struggle with that aren't in that upper echelon of coaching. So, you know,
Yeah.
you got to live with that. You kick
Yeah.
McPherson. He drills that kick, man. That's a kick that he makes.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. It's funny because like now, right, a 50+ yard field goal, like that mid 50
Big
yard
money.
field goal is almost like people are like, oh, it's pretty much automatic,
Mm-hmm.
which is wild. But yeah, I would have liked him to at least give Joe one shot. I mean, they had been, and like you said, just something quick because all
Yeah,
game they've been
fire,
killing him with
fire.
quick slants.
Yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
game.
And
Just
going
get it
back
in.
to the kick, is that am I tripping or did the snap get bobbled? Not bobbled, but
It was,
mishandled.
yeah, it was a
A bad
bobbled
hold,
snap.
right?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was just, yeah, he fumbled it and then tried to get it set, and it was
it,
like,
it was
I don't even
never
think it was
set.
on the ground when he like kicked it.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So I mean, a good hold. Who knows
yeah,
what happens? But yeah, no,
yeah, yeah,
we'll see.
yeah. And so with that though, Bengals drop now 1-4, man.
Yes, it's
Now
statistically it's hard to make the playoffs.
yeah, and I mean we've seen them have slow starts the last few years, make the playoffs,
Yeah,
but you think you think they're out of it now, or do you think, I mean, still an outside shot? Kind of, what do you think with that?
I think it's still an outside shot for sure, but they got to reel off some wins here. You got to play better situationally. You got to play better defense, and it's an uphill battle. Like I think the Ravens and the Bengals, if you just watch them, I've been saying it for years. Like I don't know the data behind this, but the Ravens and the Bengals will they almost lose a lot of games that just don't make sense. Like they're pounding the rock, they're up by 10 with somehow in the fourth quarter, 8 minutes left, and you lose the game. Like they do that a lot. Like
Yeah,
that's why I don't really trust either one of them. But I don't think they're out, the Bengals, but I don't know.
yeah,
It's gonna be tough.
yeah. I think it's. I mean, with the Bengals, man, it's obviously their offense is humming. Like I
Yeah.
think they're the number 2 offense in the league right now. So
Hmm.
it's hard to say like they're out
Right.
with an offense that good, but that defense is
Yeah. Pretty
atrocious.
bad. They need a pass rush. Um,
Yeah, and
they need a
so
pass rush bad.
yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it's completely done. I think this week is really gonna tell us who the Bengals are, because you lose to the Giants, I'm gonna have to say you're done.
Right.
You drop to 1-5, because that means you had the gimmies on your schedule. No offense, Patriots. Like you
Right.
lose
Yeah.
to
No,
them.
it's a gimme.
Like that's when you should win. You lose to the Giants. That's another gimme. Like it's when you should win. That maybe to me that just tells me like you're just not a winning football team.
Yeah. Same way with the
Like,
Seahawks, and they lost to the
yep,
Giants at home. I was like, ooh, that's a real bad sign. Yeah, they lost a lot of defensive pieces. That's a bad sign. You lose to them at home. You
yeah,
get
and
toted on. You're getting toted on. It's bad luck. And
yeah,
then you saw exactly what happened when they played the Niners.
man, yep, the
So
dog walked them.
yeah, pretty bad.
So, but so other side of it though, Ravens obviously get the win. Now, last week when I did this, I came on before that Ravens Bengals game, and I was like, look, the way the Ravens need to win is they need to hand the ball off, hope they don't get down to the Bengals, let
Hmm.
Derrick Henry cook. Like that's their best course of action. And then Lamar went out, slung the ball all over the field,
Yeah,
and they
went
put up
swinging it.
40 points. And so,
Yeah,
um, just looking at the Ravens, I still think, I mean, obviously, Lamar's an incredible quarterback. Like, he's going to have those games, and he
generational.
can have those games. I still think the best way for them to win, and I mentioned it last week, similar to the Eagles, is like play through the running back,
Hmm.
Saquon or Derrick Henry in the Ravens case, and then let the pass game flow off that.
Yep.
But I mean, with what they did this last week against the Bengals, I'm like, granted, again, Bengals terrible defense, but like I look at them as like, and again, they have the playoff issues since Lamar's
Yeah.
been there,
Mm-hmm.
but on a week to week basis, I don't know if there's a scarier team I'd want to play than the Ravens.
Yes, and you're going to see as the weather drops, you're going to see a lot more teams not want to play them because
Mm-hmm.
they're so big up front. They're going to line up in, excuse me, they're going to line up in like crazy tight end sets, hand the ball off to Derrick Henry, and tackle him in 20-degree weather and say good luck. So that's gonna be shitty soon. But
Yeah,
like in normal weather games, there's gonna be times where they get to a lead and can give it up because they ball control and defense is their mo. So if they have a quick 3 and out or things like that, teams can get back in it. And in the NFL with quarterback play and the way people are scoring points now, you can always get in it. But you're gonna start to see when the weather gets a little colder. I wouldn't be surprised if
yeah,
the Ravens string off some wins here just because you got to pound the rock.
yeah. No, that makes sense. And I mean, the one thing that the Ravens that stops me from obviously I think they're a dangerous team. Like I said, I don't think there's a team I would rather not play week to
Yeah.
week in the regular season. But that secondary is not great. Like that defense
No.
hasn't been what it's been before. Now I don't know if that's
Mhm.
Mike McDonald leaving or what, because usually Ravens and Harbaugh, like it's almost a guarantee that they're going to have a solid defense.
Right. Right.
But but with that, where do they fall for you? If you had to like say like, do you think they can get to a Super Bowl,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
does that postseason struggles does that kind of make you hesitant with them still?
It for sure makes me hesitant, but in a kind of a open year in the NFC as well as the AFC, like the Chiefs are 5-0, but
Squeaking them by.
squeaking
Yeah,
by, and good teams win, find a way to win, and maybe they continue to do so. But I think that in a game where in a playoff game in the Chiefs Stadium, and the Ravens can pound the rock. They can win, but just their struggles recently in recent years too. It's so weird where
yeah.
games that they're losing, you're like, and it almost happened again with the Bengals game. Like Lamar just drops the ball and all of a sudden puts him. I'm like, dude, it
It's
just keeps happening with them, like just
it's
uncharacteristic stuff, and they're almost losing every game.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's like 2 weeks ago when they played not the Cowboys, the week before that. Was it the Raiders when
Yeah, did they
they
lose to the Raiders?
yeah they lost to the Raiders up like 2 scores in the fourth quarter. You
Dude,
play
it
the
happens all
Cowboys
the
the
time.
next week, and you're dominant the whole game, and in the fourth quarter you give them life, and they almost come back on you. And like I
Right,
said, and then Lamar dropped fumbling the ball. It's just yeah,
just a snap, like not even.
yeah. No, it hit him in the chin, I think.
It's like, dude.
But yeah, so it's just yeah, I don't know what it is with the Ravens and
Mhm.
this year letting teams back, and then like I said, there's also another wild statistic where like Lamar's last 4 times in the playoffs, like that season, the playoff game they lose is always his worst performance of the year. Like every time without fail, if he's
Think
in the
because he's
playoffs,
pressing?
you're gonna get his worst performance of the year.
You think it's now getting like a he's pressing a little bit. He's aware of it. He's trying to make plays. I don't know. That is a weird
So
statistic.
yeah, I don't know. I think earlier in his career when he had those problems, I think it's that obviously playoff football, you can game plan a lot better for him because regular season you're not going to show everything.
Right.
Also, there's a wild stat that it's like he's undefeated against the NFC, so you're in the playoffs. You're playing teams that have seen you a few times, know how to
Yeah.
play you a little bit more, and so I think just the game planning goes into it a lot more.
Yeah.
Last year, I thought he shook it after the first playoff game because I'm like, okay, he
Same.
got his first playoff win. Like now he's going to start rolling. But then they go pass heavy against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs couldn't stop the run all year.
Yeah,
And
that
it's
was
just
weird
it's
to me.
weird stuff, right? With the Ravens, like it's always just weird stuff that
Mhm.
that they lose with. So
Yeah, and you play a team like the Chiefs that's like going to capitalize on mistakes, and they don't usually shoot themselves in the foot. You give them an opening, they take it. They end up
Yeah.
winning these close games. I mean, you look on the other side of the spectrum, they're winning these close games. They're squeaking them out, and we're like, are they really? But on the flip side, they could be doing what a lot of the teams in the league right now are doing, where they're finding a way to lose these games. If they
Yeah.
do figure it out, it's going to be scary because they know how to win late.
Yeah. And that's another thing and I think it kind of goes along with, I think the Ravens and the Bills especially kind of have this thing. And I don't know what it is, if it's just mentally with Kansas City, like they are pressing a little bit more when they get to the playoffs because like we have
Yeah.
to play a perfect game.
Yep.
But it always seems like with the Bills or with Kansas or Bills Ravens with Kansas City, most teams really, I would say, except the Bengals almost, who
Right.
seem to
Yeah.
be able to play Kansas City well. But most teams just find there's it's one thing that always happens. It's a turnover, something where
Gives them
Chiefs
life.
capitalize, Chiefs win, and
Mhm.
it's every time. And
Yep.
so, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know as far as with the playoffs with Lamar, if it is just pressing more. And I mean, now that you're getting later in his career, he
Yeah.
probably is hearing it a little more because it's like, okay, it's
And
time
it's
to win if you're
competitive.
Lamar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so I'm not sure about that. But um, good segue though from Bills, Texans, Bills last week.
Yeah.
Another solid game.
Great game. Yeah.
With this, so coming into this one, last week I had mentioned if you looked at the Bills, you looked at the Texans. I thought this was going to be kind of a who's going to be in the lead for MVP game.
Right.
But at the same time, neither team had like any real good wins up until this point.
Mm-hmm.
And
And then they
so,
played a banger.
yeah, and then they play each other close. And so
Right.
I come out of I was selfishly going in, I'm hoping, okay, one of these teams is going to just show that they're just head and shoulders above. So I'm like, okay, like this is the fake team. This is going to be the real team this year.
Mm-hmm.
And they play a close game. And so now I'm like, okay, I still don't know if you guys can go into like great teams and
Yeah.
play against great teams and win. But I mean, they've both shown that they have the ability to play
Yep.
good teams and be competitive. So,
Yeah.
but obviously the big one, two big things coming out of this one. We'll start with Nico Collins going to the IR, right?
Yep.
And so hamstring,
Soft tish, man.
yeah,
Soft tish.
that thing can. Who knows how long that'll last? Because he
Mm-hmm.
might get back out there and pull it on play one again.
Yeah. Those things. Oh, that is terrible. Any
And
soft tish and lower body soft tish is really hard to come back from.
yeah, and he had. I mean, the season he was putting together was insane. Like
Phenomenal, man.
he was, I think, top two in almost every
I
major
think.
statistic for wide receiver.
Yeah, he was going into this week number one in receiving yards, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah, it sucks to see him go down. He's a baller, dude. Is crazy. The way he can get separation at how big he is,
that's
like he
wild.
can get separation with route running, and then just his catch radius in general is
Well, I
out
mean,
of this world. So I hope
yeah,
he
I
can make
mean,
it back this year.
yeah. Oh no, absolutely, absolutely. Because I mean, the way the year he was having like was going to be insane. But I mean, and speaking to like just he's a big receiver, but like you said, he able to pull away on the play he pulled the
Running
hamstring on,
away from it, yeah,
ran right through everybody.
yeah, he's
so
cold.
so with him on the IR now, obviously, I mean they still got talent at wide receiver. You still got Stephon, you still got Tank. But what do you think? Because once he went down, the Texans didn't look great offensively.
Yeah, I think so. A couple of things going into the week, you game plan. You don't game plan for injuries.
Absolutely.
So yeah, when he goes down, there's a chunk of the play call sheet that they can't run, or they do run, but they put different personnel in there.
Yeah.
So that can have an impact. And then just the type of attention he demands is going to have an impact because now that attention gets spread out to the rest of the group. And
Yeah.
then you didn't have Joe Mixon,
Yep.
who's a dynamic pass catcher out of the backfield, great back. So I like them, and the reason why I like them is because of their pass rush, and that's a running theme for me. If you have a good
Mm-hmm.
pass rush and you can keep your quarterback clean, you can make up for a lot of mistakes or a lot of subpar play in other areas because if you can mitigate time to throw, you're going to have a chance to play good defense. Corners aren't going to cover for 4, 5, 6 seconds. They can cover for 2.5, maybe two.
Yeah.
Then you can keep your quarterback clean. The opposite is true. More time to throw. People get open. Athletes are being athletes. And with Will Anderson and what you got, Daniil Hunter on the other side,
Mm-hmm.
they're getting after quarterbacks. So they're always going to
Oh
have a
yeah.
chance. I like them a lot because of that. Because you fast forward, they're playing the Chiefs. The best way to rattle a great quarter, not even rattle a great quarterback, just give yourself a chance to win is pressure. So
Yeah.
they're going to be, as long as those two stay healthy, they'll be in most ball games that they play.
Yeah. And no, I mean, and like I said, I don't think CJ Stroud has had kind of the monster season I thought he might have had.
Yeah.
But he's also he's getting into that area of like, even when he plays bad, he finds a way to make the big plays at the end
Yeah.
for the win.
Yep.
And so if you got a quarterback who can do that, I mean, obviously not comparing him to Mahomes, but like Mahomes,
Same
we see
kind
it
of,
with Mahomes.
yeah.
Mahomes has played bad most of the year, but you're talking about a 5-0 team, and it's just because at the end of the day, he makes a couple plays and they
Yeah.
find a way to get in field goal range for a game-winning field goal or whatever it is. It's just he just makes the plays when it's needed to be made. And I think CJ Stroud to a lesser degree is kind of coming into that. So
Yeah. I wouldn't even call it a lesser degree. I just think he's starting to do it more recently.
yeah,
And I think that they're doing the same things. It's like they're so prepared. You have to play them so well for the course of a game to where one or two plays here that they make can lose you the game. And a quarterback that isn't as good, isn't as prepared, you can make a little bit more mistakes and they'll shoot themselves in the foot. So
yeah, absolutely. And so sticking with the game, other side of the ball,
mm-hmm.
Bills,
Yeah.
again, showing like no good wins this year, haven't beaten a good team. I think it has a lot to do with, I know everybody is high on Shakir, their wide receiver, but I don't think they have really anybody that can consistently win. And I
Yeah.
mean, you're asking Josh Allen to go out and be a superhero every game, which look, that's why I picked
We
him
talked
as
about it. Yeah.
the MVP. I thought he was going to win MVP because I thought it's what he's going to have to do for them to win.
Yeah.
But he hasn't been able to do it to that consistent level this year. And so obviously a lot goes into it. It can't just be the wide receivers, which
Right.
is the reason they're not winning. But I think that's kind of the biggest thing I see. When you look at the Bills, though, kind of what do you think is the reason why they're having issues against these upper teams in the league?
Yeah, you're putting a lot on Josh's shoulders because he has to do so much, and the receivers are decent, but you could see it like multiple times in consistent or like multiple times in drives. You see Josh Allen going into Superman mode where he's
Mm-hmm.
running around all over the place, hurdling dudes and chucking stuff up, and he's trying to have to play hero ball. I don't even know if he has to play hero ball, but he is playing some hero ball. And
Yeah.
then on the back end of that defense, their secondary is poor.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're relying on pressure, and then if the pressure doesn't get there, the coverage isn't as good as some of the other teams in the league, and it's a recipe for these weird, funky losses. The games that are, some games he's playing really well, they're going lights out, he's scoring every possession, and then other games, if his cape isn't on, you get games like what happened.
Yeah. And so sticking with the Josh Allen run around playing hero ball, man, he was knocked out on that play.
I'm not a medical professional, but I
Yeah.
can say that there was a similar instance with the running back for the Dolphins, Achan, where he took a shot on the sidelines. He went down. It looked like he was affected by the hit, and he didn't come back. And then you see Josh Allen, where he went down, took a shot. It looks like he was affected by the hit, and he comes back. So it's the consistency piece. Like, what are we really?
Yeah. And
What
look,
is the criteria to leave and stay?
yeah. And I know the NFL, like, they've gotten a lot better with the concussion protocol and
Mm-hmm.
the third party neurologist and all that. Like you said, I'm not a medical professional,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can be knocked unconscious from a hit to the head and not be concussed. But I'm
Yeah,
like,
I don't know either. I have no clue.
and so when I first saw the play, I thought he was just like, it was one of those things where it's like he got hit, you know, he felt it and was kind of staying down. But then when you see that replay of him, like when it zoomed in and you see his wrist, like,
Yeah, yeah.
and just
Hmm.
staying there, I was like, oh, he's out cold.
Yeah, he was definitely affected for sure. Um,
But
and that's a good question. I don't know if you can get knocked out and not be concussed. I think uh, I don't know. I don't know that weird.
no
Yeah.
idea.
So like, remember when Mahomes got hit and his head didn't hit the ground, but it whipped, and
Yeah.
I was like, are you concussed or what is that? I don't know
Well,
what
he
that
came
is.
out of that game though, right? That was the one where they
He
took him
did.
out.
Yeah, and they were saying it was like a neck injury.
Oh, okay.
You know, it was
Yeah, I
like,
don't.
but he was wobbly. Like he whipped back and it got up and he was super wobbly, but
Oh,
his head
yeah,
never
where he
hit.
like,
Yeah,
yeah,
and his head never hit anything. And I wonder, I was like, is that a concussion? I don't know what that is, but
yeah. I have no
you saw
idea.
that Josh Allen was affected.
Out.
Yeah, he
Apparently, they
was
gave him smelling salts, like,
right. So
but um, and so with that, well, one, I got to ask you. So I don't know if you watched the one I did with Randall.
not yet. No.
Okay, so it was right after the Tua thing, and Tua went
Mhm.
out, and so I'd asked him. I was like, "So have you ever been concussed? Because I've never been concussed." So now I'm going to ask you the same thing. Have you ever had a concussion, and what was that experience like?
Yes, I've had a concussion. A couple of them. So I remember this was like Pop Warner Pee Wee days. I took a hit on it. This was my first one. I hit somebody on the sideline, um, and that one was weird. Like there was no, I wasn't out of it or anything. Well, I was kind of out of it, but I didn't get knocked out. Um, I was just like kind of seeing stars, wobbly, woozy, and then they checked me out and they were like, "Yeah, he's probably concussed." I went to the doctor. They were like, "Don't fall asleep for a while," is what they always tell you, and that kind of freaks you out because, like,
Yeah,
dude, I'm tired.
yeah,
Um, I definitely had a couple later in life where um, I don't think I was knocked out, but I can't say because I remember somebody was hurdling one of my teammates and I went to hit him and I hit him up, but I ended up getting caught. And I remember just like face down. And the next thing I remember, I was getting turned over by, I think it was by Kendall's dad.
hey, shout out Reggie.
I think he turned me over, and then from there, like they got me up and got me out. But yeah, it's a weird feeling because they're not all the same. Like you have these like little
Yeah,
mini ones. Everybody says that like the seeing stars thing. That's like, you know, a lot of times early on, like before there was this concussion initiative, that was just a normal thing. Like you saw stars multiple times in practice. Um,
yeah,
and that's different than getting actually knocked out. And then there's somewhere in between where one stung and you're kind of out of it. The worst one I saw was where we know the person.
we're the
W-
Lions. We're
yeah,
Lions.
yeah, where he took a nasty shot, but he popped right back up. But then he went straight into like not making sense with his speech about certain situations.
Yeah,
So it's pretty scary because it's on like a spectrum. Like you're knocked out, you come to, you don't know where you are, and then there's all the way like seeing stars, and you have like a splitting headache for hours.
yeah,
Usually it can be paired with nausea too, where it's like you're coming to, your head hurts, and I've seen people throw up. This is all
yep.
like the dark side of it, and people who've never had a concussion, they don't really understand. They think it's just like kind of a bad headache, but it does affect you, like
Oh
sleep
yeah.
patterns, you're nauseous. It's pretty
Well, yeah.
nasty stuff.
The one I heard, and it was after the Tua thing. I don't know if I talked about it on the other one, but they had Greg Jennings on one of the shows, and he was talking about his one of the concussions he got, where he was like at the beginning of the game on kickoff, got concussed, and he's like, I came to in the third quarter.
Yeah.
He's like, that's when I remember being like aware, and I'm
Hmm.
like, that would freak me out because he was still playing.
Yeah.
So like it said, lights are on, but no one's home for a whole
Yeah.
half of football. Like that's
Definitely have one of those.
wild.
Yeah, where I didn't get knocked out, but your memory's kind of spotty. I do remember
Yeah,
coming to with a teammate on the sidelines, and it was a hot one. And I was like, man, dude, can you grab my umbrella? And like, he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, man, just go grab my umbrella, man. It's a hot one out. And he was like, dog, we're playing football. Like, oh, all right.
So, yeah, man, I need that umbrella.
Yeah, man. And it was like plays after. It wasn't right after. I'm like sitting on the sidelines getting my wits together. And I was just
Yeah.
like, yeah, man, I need that umbrella from you, dog.
Yeah, it said it
I
was
need that
helping
umbrella.
unscramble the eggs.
Yeah, man. And I'm pretty sure I went back in. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
I
no
went back in.
concussion protocol then.
No, 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 no. And then it's the whole if we can see your eyes, and I'm like, dude, people have looked at other people's eyes and been like, "You're good, get back in there." I'm like, you don't even know what you're looking at.
Well, that was the thing where like the one I always hear is like they'll be like, "Oh, what's your birthday?" All this stuff,
Yeah,
and it's like I feel like some of that is just so like.
I've
Granted,
always
I
been
don't
able
know.
to answer those. Always.
Yeah, I'm like I feel like that's just
Yeah,
so ingrained in your mind. Like
yeah,
you could be out but still have that answer.
yeah. They even hit
So
me with the like, who's the president, and I was able to answer it really quickly. But I knew I was like, yeah, like something. Definitely
something's
eggs
not
are
right.
scrambled. Yeah,
Yeah,
eggs are scrambled. But I was like, I'm gonna get back in the game.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, my biggest thing with the getting back to the Bills with Josh Allen and all that is I don't know how he was able to get back in there and get no concussion protocol, nothing.
Yeah, it's
But
crazy.
that's one of the things that does scare me with the Bills and this kind of play style they're doing, where it's Josh Allen be a superhero, is it brings you much more susceptible to injuries.
Yeah.
And I mean, we even see it with the the comparison I think of is Cam Newton, right? Where it's like
Hmm.
dude who Superman, ran a lot, took big hits, but because he was so big,
Hmm.
it's like while you're in it, it's like, oh, nothing, he should be fine. But then he's 32 and it's like cooked.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. With the body, it's like mini car crashes, dude. You can be as big and strong as you want, but
yeah,
you taking car crashes at 10, 15 miles an hour multiple times in 60 minutes. I don't care how
yeah,
tough you are, it's gonna affect you.
yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's move on. We got, man, next game, Vikings and Jets. And so we got a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
Not as much with the game,
Let's go, dude.
but after the game. So starting off, we'll start off with the Viking side because their side is going to be the quickest and easiest thing to kind of go through.
Mm.
But with the Vikings now, 5-0, undefeated.
Yeah, man.
Sam Darnold's out there cooking.
Balling.
So how do you view the Vikings? Legitimate contenders, kind of in a weird middle area? Kind of where do you see them falling?
I look at them, first of all, we got to put some respect on Sam's name. Is he not an early season MVP contender,
So
objectively speaking?
so I going into this game for sure. This game, it wasn't a great game for him.
Right.
I would still say he's probably in that top 2 to 3
He
as
is.
far as MVP candidates right now. Obviously, 5 weeks in, a lot can
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
But no,
I'm
I
enjoying the ride.
absolutely agree with you. He has been balling this year.
Hmm. I think that, first of all, I will be completely honest. I look at them and I'm having fun with it. Like, I don't like to, oh man, they're going to do X, Y, Z. I'm like, this is sick. What I'm
Yeah,
watching right now is pretty cool. So I hope that they can keep it up because if, put it to you this way, if the Viking storyline doesn't happen this year, what's the storyline? What's cool that's happening in the league?
yeah. Vikings. I mean, Sam Darnold
Yeah, that's
having
it.
his like career resurgence. Yeah,
Right. Yeah, without this that's going on, this is like, oh, Chiefs are 5-0, and I guess there's some drama out in New York. That's
yeah,
cool. Nico Collins was the leading receiver, and he's hurt. CMC's
yeah.
out. It's kind of like
It's been a weird year of like it's
been pretty
just
mid.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
There hasn't been a lot going on outside of what we'll talk about here in a minute.
Hmm.
But
But I'm loving it. Loving every second of it.
okay. And so I talked about this a little bit last week, um, maybe 2 weeks ago. But I'm going to ask you your thoughts on this. So let's say we'll project it out, right? Vikings win 11, 12 games.
Hmm.
Sam Darnold, let's say they win a playoff game. And Sam Darnold, I'm not going to say he's, MVP level Sam Darnold. like we're
Yeah.
seeing right now. But like, let's say he's good, like, top 6, 7 quarterback this year,
Mm-hmm.
statistic wise.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's on a 1-year deal. Vikings
Mm-hmm.
just drafted JJ. What do you do if you're the Vikings?
Consistent, been super consistent. The last time I was on, um, I'm not super high on JJ. Sit your ass on the
Me neither.
bench and learn. Sorry, we got a guy. We got a guy who's been in the system. We've been in the league. He's shown flashes of what he can be. He's been on bad organizations. He's with a good organization with a quarterback, like quarterback friendly coach. Um,
Yeah.
I'm rocking. I'm giving him a multi-year deal for a couple of reasons. He can get the ball to his playmakers, and he's that type of guy where I could see him pouring into JJ, and
Hmm.
giving you a chance at a future. If you decide to roll the dice with JJ, that is what it is, and we don't know what the quarterback room is behind him to help him develop. So I think it's the best case scenario that he sticks around for the Vikings. Like if he has a great year, top 6, top 7 quarterback, he's going to get paid somewhere for sure. Um,
Hmm.
but I think it's in the Vikings' best interest. If he performs for you this year, fucking sign him. It's not. I mean, we all saw what those front office conversations look like with Saquon and the Giants. Like they're not. We
Man,
don't
yep.
like. We don't have to put these people on a pedestal. It really is that easy sometimes.
Yeah.
Uh, so if he's doing well in your system and the system is not changing, just sign him for another 3. Like it makes the most sense.
Yeah. No, I think
And
if
then
I, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that might bring more weapons in free agency to the Vikings. Now he leaves, JJ stays. Are these marquee receivers willing to take a chance with the rest of their career going to Minnesota? Who knows?
Yeah. No, and I mean, I think if you can get him, obviously QB market's gone up, so it'll be more dollar wise. But if you can get him like on a deal like Baker got, where it's like Baker got his 100 million,
Right.
but 100 million over 4 isn't
Yeah,
like
it's
that's nothing.
doable. You can, yeah. It's
Yeah, like
nothing. It's not
you're
gonna
not
hurt you.
paying top end dollars. So yeah, if you
Yeah,
can, I think if you can get him for 30, 35 million a year,
yeah,
like
man.
worth it maybe just to
Keep
have him
balling.
in. And then I've said this before. I'm a big proponent of if I'm a team, I'll draft a quarterback every 2 years
Right.
because we've already seen. I mean, if you have somebody who's, I'm not even gonna say top end talent, but like you look at like Trey Lance, right? Trey Lance drafted, didn't work out in San Francisco. You get a 3rd round pick for him to send him over to Dallas. Like
Yeah. And who knows
there's
what type of
value in
development
him.
he's yeah. Who knows what type of development he's getting right now, being under Dak and being in that
And
quarterback room. Who knows?
exactly. And that's the same thing. You look at JJ, because I'm like you, I wasn't high on JJ. I think he's kind of like, he reminds me of like a Mac Jones where it's like coming out, right? Where it's
Yeah.
low ceiling, high floor. Like
Right.
you're not going to be terrible because he's not going to be bad, but he's
Hmm.
also not going to be great. Like I think Sam Darnold gives you that chance to be great because of the talent he has.
Hmm.
Whereas I think JJ is almost like a poor man's Kirk Cousins, which I think is
Right.
why they drafted him, is because they were like, well, we've seen it with Kirk, we can replicate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'd say, yeah, trade him. And I think you get value with JJ because 1st round talent, and he sat under Kevin O'Connell, who's a great offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And I think you have a team who looks at that almost like the Vikings looked at Sam Darnold, where it's like, oh, you
Right.
sat under Shanahan for a year. Like, yeah, we'll bring you in. We have an
Yeah.
offensive coach. Like, and so I think you could get that kind of value for him. But,
Oh, so you're on the trade him,
oh, yeah, I would trade him.
Sam?
No, 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 not Sam, not Sam. No, I would trade JJ.
Oh, okay. I was like, yo.
No, no, no. I would pay Sam, trade JJ. I'd let JJ sit in there another year
Hmm.
because I don't think you're going to get value for him because he's out all year with an injury.
Yeah.
Let him sit under Darnold next year. Again, this is all if Darnold plays well.
Yeah.
Let him
He could
sit
tank
under
it, but
Darnold for another year and then move him and maybe get a 3rd round pick, because a 3rd round pick in the NFL, that's
valuable.
valuable. You
Very
get
valuable.
players there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was my kind of thoughts with it.
Yeah.
But here we go. Other side of it, the Jets, man.
The poopy organization,
My
poop,
goodness. So
poopy diaper. That's
so
what.
we'll start with okay. We'll get to the Salah and everything. I want to start with just the game, right? How they
Mm,
played. Rodgers looks old.
looking real pedestrian. Yeah.
Man, like that offense, the defense, I'll give it credit. I thought the defense had taken a step back. I did not think they were as good as like advertised this year. The
Yeah.
defense
Pretty
was
good.
solid.
Yeah, pretty good.
And so that offense, though, I mean, Rodgers not looking great, offense not looking great. You had was it Garrett Wilson on a podcast talking about how like yeah, the offense is elementary. Like it's
Yeah.
like
It's
man,
really weird, and like when you watch the games too, some of Aaron's like facial expressions and the way he interacts, it's just funky. I'm not saying that it's toxic or anything like that, but it's weird. And
yeah,
I know people are gonna say, "Well, you Tom Brady, he was throwing tablets and yelling at coaches and stuff," and I'm like,
different.
"I yes, I get it, but what we're have you ever heard of Tom Brady being a quote unquote bad teammate or a bad locker room guy? It was more
No,
from like expectations based off of the preparation that he put in. But there's this weird cloud and drama circus that follows some of the actions that go on in Aaron's camp that it's just weird. And then you got the receiver
yeah,
going on podcasts and talking funky stuff, man. It seems like they're just not on the same page.
yeah,
And it shows on the field.
yeah. No, and I think another big thing too is I mean, and we're athletes, like so. I think you'll get it too. Like, look, there's things like you at some point as an athlete, you got to come to a realization of like I'm not what I was before, right?
For sure.
Like I'm not gonna go out there and try to dunk anymore. Like,
No.
it's not in the cards. If I can touch the backboard now, it's a good day.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But with Rogers, it's like you hear all this stuff where he doesn't like motion pre-snap, and it's like if you look at every great offensive coach now, it's all motion pre-snap. It
Right.
gives you all the answers, but it's like Rodgers because previously he's like, well, I like to see the field and everything. I like to dissect it. I don't want any motion. It's like, okay, you know what? Sometimes you have to realize like, hey, I don't have the arm talent and the escapability I used to where I can make something out of nothing.
Right.
Let's maybe get you some easier reads, get some pre-snap motion so you can see everything.
Right.
And it's just kind of I think he needs to come to that realization of like, okay, I'm not what I once was. Like, let's kind of make this easier. I also don't think having Nathaniel Hackett as the OC is helping that at all because he's basically got that job just because he's Aaron's boy, and
Yeah.
so, but
Yeah, it's funky, man. It like I'm not a big fan of broad generalities, so saying I don't like doing this and like totally scrapping it sounds odd to me because why not, if it helps you, why not try it? So it makes you question why. Like
yeah,
every
it it gives
okay.
me the same kind of vibe as like the Russell Wilson with the armband, where he's like, yeah, I don't want the armband thing. He's like, I don't like that. And it's
Yeah,
like,
it's
hey, dog, it's
weird.
giving you all the answers right here. Like, it's making your life easier. Like,
Right. And I don't get me wrong, I hate it too. When I play on teams that the offense runs with armbands, I can't stand it. You know what I do? Compromise. I put it in my belt so that way I can look down and see it. If it messes with your drip, I get it. It does mess with mine. But figure it out. Don't just
yeah,
it's my way or the highway type of thing. Like we're adults.
yeah,
Do
exactly.
it.
And it. But you know what? That to me, because with both of them, I think Russell is kind of similar in the fact of like it's with Aaron. It's like, well, no, like I'm gonna do it this way. It's not about the team. It's how I'm gonna do it, and
Yeah.
we'll live or die by that. And
Hmm.
so,
And that's a weird message if people get wind of that or hear that. It's like
Yeah.
you're not willing to try things out for the sake of the team. And again, I'm not in the locker room, so this is just straight speculation. But
Yeah.
it looks odd when you see it. Like I have eyes.
Yeah. And so speaking of living and dying with it, Robert Solomon died with it.
Yeah,
So,
odd fire. I don't know.
well, so you heard how it happened, right? As
Refresh
far
my
as
memory.
okay, so he came in Monday morning, like came into the facility to start the game plan for next week. Like he was literally in there to start working,
Mm-hmm.
and the owner comes in and basically is just like, "Hey, by the way, you're fired."
Really, I did hear that. It came
That's
out that he was planning on downgrading Nathaniel Hackett's role, but I
yep.
didn't know if that came out after he was fired or he was going into the week like this is my
So
plan.
so going into the week, apparently his plan was, I'm going to demote Nathaniel Hackett or fire Nathaniel Hackett, whichever one. Um, and apparently it was something that was there was people who knew that that was the plan,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's kind of been again. It's this whole thing with Rodgers where it's like because then you hear Sunday night after the game or Sunday afternoon after the game, whatever it was, but the owner calls Aaron Rodgers, called him on the phone, spoke with him on the phone, but according to both of them, firing Robert Saleh or anything like that never came up in conversation.
This is
Which
such a Jets organization thing. Like it's
it's
just such
well,
a
my
it's run like
thing.
an AAU team.
So my thing is, I'm like, one, either you're lying to me, which I'm
Wouldn't be
assuming
the
it is
first time.
because Aaron Rodgers hasn't given me a reason to believe what he says.
Yeah.
But or two, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm like, yo, you called me the day before you fired him and didn't even talk to me about it. So
Yeah.
either way, it's not a good look.
Either way, it's a bad look. Like
So
if that's your reasoning, that's the story you're
yeah,
sticking to. There's like it's bad all around.
but then it comes out. So obviously, so they fire him. GM not involved in it. Straight ownership.
Mm-hmm.
But then they promote Ulbrich, and the first thing he does is takes away play calling and game planning from Nathaniel Hackett. So then I'm like, okay, so maybe it wasn't because he was going to fire Hackett,
Yeah.
like, but they did say, luckily for Hackett, he gets to keep the title of offensive coordinator.
What the fuck does that mean? Like
So
what?
he's still the
Okay.
offensive coordinator, but apparently what he's doing is he's doing the cards, which
What do you
is
mean
like,
he's doing the cards? Like
I
he's
don't know.
creating the play cards?
Yeah, like that's all he's doing. Which from what I had heard is they're like, yeah, like that's kind of like what an assistant does.
Yeah, because
Like,
couple questions. Is he creating the cards because he's creating the game plan, or
no,
is he taking? Okay, so he's taking
they
what the
took away
offensive
game
coordinator is
planning
doing.
and they took away play calling and game planning from him.
Yeah, so
So
man, that's tough. So you're just a
I'm like,
glorified assistant at that point, but getting paid like an assistant.
what's
Honestly, not a bad idea. Not crazy. Minimal responsibility, getting paid well,
look? I mean, if I'm Nathaniel Hackett, dope.
whatever.
I don't do anything and I get paid and have the title of an offensive coordinator. Now he looks like a joke to everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
but you're
Be
getting
interesting to see
paid.
where he lands after this.
Well, and so, but here's my thing too: is so now, I mean, obviously, he's still there because his connection with Aaron, right? Like we can pretty much agree on that.
Fair to assume.
What happens when this new play caller is like, "All right, here's our game plan for the week, Aaron," and then Aaron's like, "Oh no, I don't like this. I don't like this." Like, look, Nate, come here, man. Look at what he's doing. Like
Yeah,
now it's just dissension
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
Like,
There needs to be some real honest conversations if that's what's happening. Again, we don't know, but if things like that are happening, somebody high up needs to be like, get on board or get the fuck out, pretty much,
yeah.
because it's nasty work. Like if
man.
those
And
things are
so
happening and we don't know, you got to kind of reel it in because it's a circus at that point.
it's the Jets.
Yeah, it is the Jets.
But so but let's rewind. So obviously that's the chain of events, right?
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the Jets firing Salah? Like, what are your thoughts on the actual firing of Salah? Not how it happened and all that, which was a circus.
I was shocked. I was like, wow, this is. I mean, what are we? 5 games in, four games in,
Five
and
games.
we're dumping him, and then it gives a weird look to the rest of the organization. It's like, what is our goals? Like, what are we striving towards this year? Like, did we fire our coach to give us a better chance to win a Super Bowl? Because that was what you guys thought in the offseason. You were hunting for a playoff spot in a Super Bowl. Now, does that mean you're rebuilding? What are we? What are
Well,
we
that's
doing?
my thing.
There's no goal.
Is I'm like, and whoever, feel free to fact check me on this. I'm almost certain no team that made a coaching change mid-season has gone to a Super Bowl.
A head coaching chat? I don't know.
I don't
That's a
think
good
so.
one. That's a good.
Might be
That's a good.
wrong, but I feel confident enough in that guess that I'm going to say it. So,
We'll find out.
but my
Somebody will
thing,
fact check that.
well, and here's my thing is I'm like, so like you said, like we're 5 games in. This week you play a game against the Bills for first place in the division. Like if you win, you are in the lead of the division. You fired your coach 6 days before that game.
Yeah.
Not only that, as I was not a fan of Salah. I thought they should have got I thought coming into this year they should have got rid of him. But doing it 5 games in when you're 2-3 with a chance to take first place, and
Right.
his side of the ball has been good.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a defensive coach. Your defense has been great, and you upgrade a DC to your head coach now with
Yeah.
Ulbrich. It's like
Yeah.
we don't know if Ulbrich's good. We don't know how that's going to work. At least Salah, I know I'm going to get a good defense. Now I'm probably not
Right.
going to. The offense I don't put on him because it's not his job.
Right.
And I know
Yeah.
I'm not going to get like great like game management from him, right? Like he's probably going to make a mistake as far as,
Yeah.
calling a
Timeouts.
timeout and not calling a timeout, whatever. But I at least know I'm going to get a good defense and, you know, like like I said, you're playing for first place. So
Right.
it's a weird
Weird time to make
firing.
a coaching change.
And look, I think if I'm any team right now that has, I don't think they'll do it, but if I'm the Bengals, right, and my defense is terrible, I was on the phone Monday afternoon with Salah seeing if he'll be my DC because I think
Yeah.
he's a solid DC.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And
He's
so
gonna
I
land
also,
somewhere for sure.
yeah, and the other thing is, like you said, you bring in a guy with no head coaching experience. Are you rebuilding? Because to me, if you're gonna make that fire, you should have a coach lined up that's like a Belichick, Vrabel, somebody, right? Like
Yeah.
somebody who has a track record where it's like, okay, we're firing him because we're going to bring in a known upgrade because we're trying to win a Super Bowl. Because Aaron's 40,
Right.
but
This doesn't scream "Let's go win a Super Bowl" to me.
no, this screams rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
and I guess,
So what are we gonna do?
yeah, we don't get paid to make those decisions, I guess, but
Yeah. I
it
would
is. It's.
if offered.
Oh my god, yeah. Any GMs out there or any
Yeah.
owners out
Man.
there, if you need GMs, yeah, football, basketball,
I'll build a roster for you for sure.
baseball, MLS,
Mhm.
I'll
Yeah,
figure it
whatever
out.
you need. Yeah, dude. I will put together some pieces.
But yeah, so it is weird firing. The way it happened is weird. The
I agree.
Ulbrich promotion, I
Also weird.
apparently it's weird, but apparently I guess Shanahan had reached out to the Jets this offseason to see if he could hire Ulbrich as his DC.
Okay.
And so apparently like ownership was like denied him to even be able to like interview for it. And so I think they think, well, Shanahan wants him. Like, this guy must be like,
Sounds like a coup.
man.
This
So
sounds deep.
yeah, but we'll see what happens, man. I mean, I don't know what they're going to look like this week. We'll see, but the Shanahan thing is actually a good segue. Cardinals Niners.
I do love watching some Cardinals football. You never know what you're gonna get.
Oh my God,
Love it.
Kyler's fun to watch, man. He's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't think the Cardinals are like
What's
really.
their record?
I think they're 2 and
They
3 now.
2-3 in that division. That puts them what? Tied for
Third.
second, third?
Yeah, I think they're third, just above the Rams now.
Yeah, because it's what 3-3 is in first.
Yeah, 3 and 3 is the Niners. 3 and 3 is Seattle, and then they're 2 and 3 right now.
Hey man, they can go on a run.
Look, they can. Marvin Harrison he's been lighting it up.
Mhm.
Kyler's been a monster. That defense scares me.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
no, they're always, to me now, like, they're one of those teams where if they're on, I'll watch them because I just know I'm going to see, like,
Yeah.
Kyler's gonna make a play during that game, or Marvin Harrison's gonna make a play during that game, where it's like,
Yeah.
it's fun to watch.
Oh yeah.
And we can even kind of flip this with the Niners into even with last night playing the Seahawks. Or last night, 2 nights ago playing the Seahawks.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at the Niners, obviously the biggest question mark for them coming into the year, and I think I told you in the first episode, was injuries, right?
Mm-hmm.
The CMC thing, I was like, I can't see. I think he's going to be hurt this year. Apparently, he has like Achilles tendonitis.
In both legs.
Yeah, it moved to a second leg. I didn't know tendonitis could move.
uh, I have had tendonitis that I don't say it moved or caused, but it did lead to other injuries based off of like
Yeah.
overcompensation. I've had that
So
before,
I
but I
get
didn't know
that.
it could
Yeah.
travel.
Yeah, no, because I'm like, I got tendonitis. And so, like, yeah, I didn't know you could just, like, yeah, I didn't know it could travel around. But yeah, I get the whole, like, overcompensating and everything. But obviously, Niners, without just him, don't look quite like they did last year.
Yeah, you don't have that lightning in a bottle, man. And I do think Shanahan over time will create a game plan around what he has, and they'll look better than what they have to start the year. But not having that just explosive anywhere, anytime can get you a touchdown guy.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll make everybody less good.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, because, and look, shout out to Shanahan because he has Jordan Mason, I think, second in the league in rushing yards right now. So
he's a good runner.
Yeah, Shanahan, if you're a running back and you're on his team and you are in the backfield, you're gonna get yards. That's just what he does. Yeah, he really does. But I think what we've seen is, yeah, Jordan Mason's getting his. The guy Thursday who had that 70-yard icing touchdown run.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't a touchdown run, but a 70-yard run. Like, obviously, defenses don't have to pay as much attention to a Jordan Mason as they do a Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
And so I think you're seeing that with Purdy. Like, and don't get me wrong, Purdy, great game last night. Great game, or 2 nights ago. Great game, played well, but not looking like he did last year. And there was a stat I saw where second halves of football games this year, he's got like a 70 QBR, like 56% completion percentage. And to me, what that says is first half you're on script. Like Shanahan's scripting you up, you're killing it. But now when you don't have that guy in the backfield the defenses are having to focus on and you're off script,
yeah,
you're not doing he said you're not playing well. And so again, played great 2 days ago. I think again the Shanahan thing. I've talked with you about it, said it on here where it's like I feel like you could put almost anybody at quarterback that's like
Yeah, they'll be productive.
a decent level, and they'll be pretty. Like you got the one touchdown to Debo on Thursday
Yeah,
where it's like
what was the DB
the safety.
doing? What was that? I watched that back so many times to try and understand where he was going, and I
I
don't get
don't
it.
get it. He's just
The only
whiffed.
thing, yeah, the only thing that would make sense is as he's running over there, he thinks it's going to be an overthrow, and he might try and get behind it. But you could tell before the ball gets there, now he's going for a tackle.
Yeah,
I was
that was
so
the.
confused.
So it's just stuff like that where I'm like, I feel like that, and then just receivers running butt naked is it's just what happens with the Niners.
Yeah,
Now he had some dots to Kittle that
and that's what you
little.
get from Purdy. That's
Yep.
that's the elite thing about him is timing and anticipation.
Yeah,
That's what's elite about him,
and
and he
I'll
was
give him credit
doing it.
too. Something I hadn't seen from him that he's doing more is like those little. He's got a little bit of athleticism to him where he
You could
gets out of the
almost you could
pocket.
it almost looks like he's doing it on purpose. I was watching the game back, and I was like, it looks like he's like, I'm gonna move around now. It looks like a
Yeah,
concerted effort type of thing where he's like, yeah, see, I can move.
yeah, and so, but again, man, with him, and it's a thing that it comes back to: are you going to pay him $55 million a year where
Yeah.
you won't be able to pay? Because you do that, probably means Debo is gone.
Hmm.
We'll see what happens with Kittle, but like you're going to lose some weapons. We see it with Dak. You know, Dak takes that $60 million a year, and now it's like CD and whatever
Yeah.
else we can find.
Hmm.
And so, I don't know. So, what are your thoughts on? Obviously, it's going to come to that decision at some point. What do you do with him from what you're seeing right now?
I think, this is hard. This one's a tough GM spot, so I'll play along with it.
Yep.
What I would probably do is I would secure Purdy not to like a max length deal, maybe a 3 4 year deal, and
Mm-hmm.
then um, I'd probably move off of Debo, and I'd
Okay.
look to get. I'm keeping CMC because
Mm-hmm.
like it's tangible when he's on the team. You make Super Bowls. When he's not,
Yeah.
you don't. So I'm keeping CMC.
Yeah.
Um, what I would look to do, and it's hard to replace Debo, but I'm looking for the I'm looking for a Debo 2.0 or another younger one, a big body kind of receiver hybrid.
Physical.
If that's your
Yeah.
scheme, then I'm going to look to find that elsewhere. And I am noticing that in college there are that type of prototypical wide receiver. They exist. Like
Yeah.
Debo's not a one of one. So if Debo wants this crazy money, sure, like he deserves it. He's been paid. He deserves to get
Yeah.
paid for it. Um, I just think that like there are other people out there that fit that mold. And then if you can scheme it up with Shanahan, because I got it, the people I got to keep are Kittle and CMC in my mind. Like they
Yeah.
do so much that I got to keep
And
those
you got
two.
and you got Trent too.
Yeah, yeah, true. Is he thinking about retiring? I don't know.
I don't know if he's thinking about retiring. I know he was holding out
Yeah,
because he wanted to restructure because his last year, I think this is his last year or second last, but there was something about the guaranteed money. Like he
he
wasn't going to
wasn't.
have any guaranteed money past. Oh, that's what it was. He wasn't going to have guaranteed money past this year.
Yeah.
And so they restructured to give him guaranteed money. So
Okay.
you're going to have him
Yeah, I
at
want to
least,
keep
I
him
think,
too.
another year.
Yeah, I want to keep him too because in the game on Thursday, you noticed a stark difference in protection. Like, yeah, Purdy was running around and stuff, but there were actual scramble lanes. It wasn't like on the other side of the ball where Gino's running for his life because the pocket's
Yeah.
collapsing. It was like the pocket is forming. Purdy has these lanes to move up, move around, and I'm
Yeah.
keeping that. I'm keeping that for sure because you could see in New England what happens when you don't have any linemen at all, and then you see it in Seattle where the linemen. I mean, Joey, there were times where was it Nick Bosa? Yeah,
Yeah,
there was times where Nick Bosa was like set hike backfield, and the tackle was
man.
like getting out of his stance. It's like,
Yeah,
what the what? What are we doing?
man.
So I'm
Yeah.
keeping those three need to get kept for sure. Debo, I
Okay.
wish you the best, and I hope you play well.
So GM hat, right? So
Hmm.
let's say and granted, I haven't looked at the financials. I don't know how it would work out. I don't know if they're going to be in this situation. But let's say Purdy's like, I need this dollar, or his agent, I need this dollar amount. I've been
Hmm.
playing for this amount the whole time. I need this dollar amount. And let's just say it's 55, whatever. 55
Hmm.
million a year. If that dollar amount makes it where you can't keep one of those three, who do you get rid of?
Well,
Or
what I
what do you
would
do?
do,
Let's just say, what do you do?
yeah, what I'm going to do is I get the dollar amount. I'm going back to whatever our finance is and be like, is there a way where we can get to the dollar amount and keep XYZ? And if they're like, okay, yes, we would need to restructure from 1, 2, 3. I'm
Yeah.
What I'm gonna do first is get them all in the room and be like, this is if they want to talk about it, or their agents and get their agents
Yeah.
on the room. Like, this is what needs to happen to keep this nucleus together. How important is it for you guys to stay? Get their answers and then move accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, from a GM perspective, I think I would try and rock that out for as long as I could, because if they're bought in, then they're going to have their agents buy in, and then it's possible. But if they're really hard stuck on a couple numbers that makes it impossible, then I'm looking to shave some fat elsewhere before I get rid of any of those three. And then if I have to get rid of any of those three, um, I'm probably going away from.
Yeah, it's tough.
I knee jerk say I'm going away from Trent, but like it's so hard to
Yeah.
get a legendary tackle.
Yeah.
And I don't even know who's up for free agency at that point. Like, do you? Because look at the tackles that are out there. The elite tackles are old heads, dude. Like
Yeah.
old head. When's Laramie Tunsil? Like he's still elite, and I feel like
Yep.
he's been in the league since '86. Like, dude. So it would be
Yeah.
hard, and like to lose Kittle would be tough.
That'd be
That would
huge.
suck. To lose CMC, I think I'd lose CMC.
Yeah.
If yeah, yeah. Now that I think about it, I think I'd have to lose CMC because yes, when he's in the lineup, they make Super Bowls. When he's not, they don't. I think I can find a running back who's willing to run through a brick wall and may have similar skill sets to a way lesser degree that I can find a way to
That's
scheme
yeah.
that up.
That's my thing. I think with Shanahan, you gotta say bye to CMC because I think you can get
Yeah.
an 80% of his production from a Jordan Mason, or if you want to go in the draft and get somebody more talented, like you
Hmm.
can get 80% of his production. Or I would even say, shoot, possibly the franchise tag on Purdy. I mean, it gives you another season of like, let's see if we can get it done. Because I think if you
Hmm.
win a Super Bowl, then it's like you don't mind being like, okay, I can get rid of this person, I can get rid of,
Exactly.
great run, but we got our chip, like we made it. Where it's
Hmm.
like if you don't win it, you're like, we're so like if you get to the Super Bowl again and lose, it's like you've been so close. Do you keep it? Do you give him the franchise tag and risk like
Yeah, it's tough. But
you
watch
know?
what's about to happen from a non GM standpoint. Watch what's about to happen. The division that they're in is so choppy that they can kind of have a season, make the playoffs.
Yep,
CMC's healthy and fresh. Boom! It looks like a totally different team.
yep,
And look, I think that I really think that that's what's going to end up happening. I think they're just
yeah.
shelving. They're trying to see how long they can win without CMC and get him 100% healthy. I could see him coming back week 12, dude.
Yeah.
Week 12 coming back. All of a sudden
Let
he's
him get his
healthy, and
legs under him.
he's still not even. He's on a pitch count, and then they
Yeah,
unleash him in the playoffs.
yeah. No, I honestly I think that is the plan. It's just, but with like something like Achilles tendonitis, I don't know enough about it to know if it's like
Oh, dude,
might
it's
he?
it's debilitating, dude. And sometimes,
Yeah,
in my case, I didn't. I got it in. It was like a 10 game season. I got it going into week 1, and I didn't get it under control until the off season of that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's tendonitis. Like I said, I got tendonitis, and I know it can flare up
Yeah.
anytime. And you got it in both Achilles. Um, that's my thing is I just don't know if he's gonna be healthy. Like
Mm-hmm.
again, almost. It's just kind of what it is. And I mean, he's an older for a running back.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's understandable.
Maybe they're giving him one last ride. Come back, get
Maybe,
healthy, see
but
if he can win a chip. He
yeah,
retires.
I mean, yeah, but that's I don't think I just can't see them winning without him
Yeah.
being CMC.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
I think he's fringe.
Mm-hmm.
With the NFL though, it's just so tough.
Yeah.
Um, I would lean to no
Yeah.
because I don't know. I don't think he's got enough great seasons.
I think you're probably
Like,
right. I do want to look up his
yeah,
rushing
like
stats though.
I know he's got a few seasons he was out with injury, so you're lopping off 2 or 3 seasons with that, and it's just yeah, I don't think I think if he was healthy his whole career maybe, or if he's got another 2 or 3 great years in him maybe,
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to see
but
what he does. I lean towards no as well. Yeah, for sure. I definitely lean towards no.
yeah, because I don't think he's
100.
going to be up there in all time ranks.
No, not even close, dude. Oh yeah, he's a hard no.
Yeah,
He's
and so I
got
think it's
1,000 yards rushing 3 times, and then the rest
yeah,
400, 200, 400, almost 400, seven. Yeah, no, nope, no, 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 no. He does
yeah.
have
I think
crazy
it's
receiving stats though.
yeah. I think with it's I think moving forward for a running back to make the Hall of Fame, it's just going to be almost impossible. Like you have to be
Wait a
like
minute, hold on. I might have lied to you real quick. I forgot they split up rushing and receiving stats. This is
okay.
kind of nasty. Hold on.
No, he's got stats. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's going to have the all time numbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, he does not even have not even close. He's got 6,000 yards all time rushing, 4,000
Yeah.
receiving. No,
Like he's going to be one of those guys where you're like it's going to come his turn and you're going to be like, "Man, he was like the best running back at
yeah,
his time."
he was really
But
good.
but then you're going to see
Yeah,
the dudes he's lined up against and you're going to be like, "Okay, there's no way we can leave out this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy over him."
yeah. There's some running backs waiting to get in that are pretty nice.
Yeah. And then like I said, I don't think the running back position has just gotten so diluted as far as production now
Mhm.
that I don't think a running back is going to have the numbers. I think possibly the next running back or like the last running back we'll see get into the Hall of Fame, unless they completely just change around the math on running backs like the voters do, is probably
Mhm.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah, he gets in.
Yeah, I think but he's the only one I can see who's like recent memory. Outside of maybe like an Adrian Peterson would be the other one.
Yeah. Hey man, I got high hopes for my boy out of Boise. High hopes for Genty.
We'll see, man.
Man, well, dude, fun to watch, man. If people haven't seen Genty run, holy crap, that dude is insane.
No, he's a monster. But so here's my thing with it, and this is why I think like it's going to be tough for running backs coming in. Right? Is I look at like Bijan, where I'm like Bijan comes out, and I'm like this dude is filthy.
Hmm.
Like he is going to put up numbers, and even he's splitting a backfield with Algier.
Yep, I think that so the NFL is usually kind of last to catch up. Like if you think about it, uh, what do we do? Wildcat made its way through high school, then it get to
Yep.
college, and then the NFL adopts it for a little bit. Like they're always kind of last to adopt things. What I'm noticing in college right now are uh, workhorse running backs that are getting the load. Pause, crazy pause. That's insane.
Yeah, no diddy.
That are taking the lion's share of the carries and going crazy. And I'm also noticing in the NFL they're running a lot of too high shells, and
Mm-hmm.
it's making passing very difficult. But these teams that are pounding the rock are having a lot of success. So I wouldn't be surprised if
Well,
we see a kind of like a shift in what football is, to
Yeah.
where it's like now we're handing the ball off 30 times a game, whether it's
No,
to
absolutely.
two different running backs, we don't know.
That's what I think is like that's my thinking with it, because I mean, like you said, with that kind of too high safety, that shell defense, like I mean, perfect example is the Chiefs, right? Isaiah Pacheco, you get him like 7th round or whatever, and dude's a
Mm-hmm.
monster, but it's like, yeah, because
You can't
Mahomes is
run
going to
too
see
high
too high safety forever.
forever for the rest of his career. He's going to say, unless they roll coverages, they're going to try and
Yeah,
disguise and roll things. But for the most
but
part, he's going to see two safeties up top, and running backs are going to be able to eat, man.
yeah, but I think it's like, again, I think it's just, I think running backs are going to eat. I think you're going to see a lot more running from the running backs and running calls, but I think it's going to be by committee moving forward
Yeah, I
forever.
think so.
Like,
Because
I
they
mean,
look
you
at
see
they
it
look
in,
at the running back position like a car, like mileage. Like they
yep,
really there's data analytics within how many times you can get you the ball, the wear and tear. It's even down to practice too, dude. Like
yeah,
a lot of people don't understand that it's down to a science of how much they're giving the ball to these running backs because it's an
mm-hmm,
investment. You got to
absolutely.
be
Well, it's
able to
why
protect your investment.
you see running backs now don't get that second big contract. They're
Hmm.
because that second big contract falls right in line with where they hit that mileage, where it's like, yeah, we usually see the dip right here, and
Yeah,
so
and it's a risk that not willing to take. They're looking at like this is just stock and economics at this point with these running
yeah,
backs. But I will say I'm noticing there's like the tackling on defense has been way down. Like the technique of tackling and just tackling in general, it's harder to get somebody who can actually make consistent tackles.
yeah,
Um, so I think we're going to see a lot of. We're already seeing it, man. Like running backs are going to be able to break loose, and I think that when it gets cold outside, and you're going to see the Ravens pounding the rock, you're going to see so many broken and missed tackles that
yeah,
you're going to be like, "Whoa, Derrick Henry he's that dude again."
yep. Well, I think, and I heard this from someone, I can't remember who it was, but I think this kind of falls in line with you saying, like, you know, the tackling's gotten so bad. They used it with offensive line, whereas it's
Yep,
like we
that too.
see very few good offensive linemen. They said because you can't really practice like that anymore.
Hmm.
Like a lot of guys don't play their starters preseason now. You know, you can't do very much hitting in practice and stuff. So basically, you see these offensive linemen don't get the
The reps.
time where, yeah, they don't get the reps. And I think it's the same thing with tackling, because no one's hitting in practice in
Mhm.
preseason, and then the preseason games, any good defensive players are usually not playing, or they're playing a
Completely agree.
series.
Mhm.
So I think that kind of falls in line with that too, where it's like those more physical elements of football now, because obviously they're trying to make the game safer.
It's getting less technical.
Yeah, so you start seeing the lack in those.
That
But
and the fact that more quarterbacks are more athletic. So
yep,
the need to be meticulous with their pass protection isn't as much going up through high school and college.
yeah,
They don't have to be as sound because you don't have a statue back there at quarterback. So dudes
yeah,
are just taking off quicker. I think a lot of it goes into like just the less technical aspect of the game right now, and it'll be interesting to see where the game heads in the next 5 years. Honestly, it'll be a different game.
absolutely. And but yeah, so let's. I know we kind of got off there,
Yeah, we did.
but we're gonna bring it back, and it's a perfect segue because you mentioned the athletic quarterbacks and everything in the league. And so, looking ahead to this week, we got a matchup of two of the most athletic quarterbacks in the league,
Hmm.
Commanders Ravens. So, just in this game, obviously, you got the Ravens are what now, 3-2, 3-2.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, Commanders 4-1. And Commanders looking good, Ravens looking good. Kind of, what are your thoughts on the game, and what do you want to see from each team, kind of going in?
I need to check the tape from our last podcast. I think did I not say I might have been thinking it. Did I not say I wanted Jaden Daniels over Drake May? I think I might have said that.
Yeah, yeah, you did.
Yeah,
It's
I
looking,
think I think that these mobile quarterbacks they start strong first because they get schemed up. Especially he's in a perfect scenario with Cliff Kingsbury. That it's a
Yep.
college offense, as college as it can be for the league. He throws the ball behind at or behind the line of scrimmage more than any other quarterback in the league right now, which is very similar to what he's used to.
Yep.
That's the college games. They're manipulating the wider hashes, manipulating space a little bit more, and that is a young quarterback's best friend. It takes away that, like I mentioned earlier, it takes away the need for as many intermediate reads.
Hmm.
When he throws it deep, it's pre-snap. When he throws it short, it's a call, and he's playing extremely, extremely well. I'm loving it. And from the Ravens, I think this is I wouldn't say it's a must win, but the more pressure is on the Ravens. Like, we don't expect anything from the Commanders, really, honestly.
Yeah.
The fact that they're going 4-1, and again, that's a storyline that I missed earlier, but this is definitely a cool one to watch. Um,
Yeah.
I think I see the Ravens winning because I think they feel the pressure of getting off to like a start. They're winning games, but the way they're winning games is funky. The way they're losing games is funky. I think they do come out with a little bit more of an edge. But I would not be shocked if the Commanders make it a game and find a way to win in the end, because the Ravens are susceptible to doing that, letting that
Yeah.
up.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because when I look at this game, I'm like, Ravens defense, and especially their secondary, not good.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see, you know, Scary Terry having a game.
Going crazy.
Yeah. And then the Commanders defense is trash.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see another game of, like we saw with the Bengals Ravens, just a light show. But like you said, I mean, Jaden Daniels, I mean, they're making football easy for him, which is always great.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just got that escapability and everything, which is great.
And he's pretty accurate too.
Yeah, and well, that's what I was going to say, because a big thing that's been coming out is like, they're comparing Jaden to Lamar, right? And he even came out and was like, like, don't compare me to Lamar. And I mean, I get it, because they're both athletic quarterbacks. Like, that's what the comparison is. They're both,
Yeah.
fast and everything. But
If you watch them, they
Jaden,
look completely different.
totally different. Well, and I think Jaden, just his presence in the pocket, his throwing ability, his accuracy in year one,
Mm-hmm.
totally different than Lamar year
Yeah, I
one.
would compare him to a more athletic CJ Stroud.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I think he's a much better. Now, Lamar's gotten much better at throwing the football,
Yeah.
but I think Jaden's just more naturally a quarterback
Mm-hmm.
than Lamar
Mm-hmm.
is.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
but no, I think, I think I honestly, my thought is it's a light show and the Ravens find a way to give it up at the end, because
That would be
it's been their
hilarious.
MO this year.
That would be hilarious. I would love to
Man,
see that.
me too. I mean, well, part of me would, because I'm like, I like Jaden Daniels. The Commanders were my sleeper pick to win the division. Part of me hates it because I'm in
It's
that
happening.
division.
It's happening.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
happening,
in
and
that
it's
division.
hilarious. Yeah.
So, but yeah. So that's my thoughts with it. I think we're gonna. Regardless, I think it's gonna be a good game.
Mm, I
Unless
agree.
the only thing I can think of that makes it not a good game is if where you see those games where rookie QBs just have like a rookie QB game.
Yeah, they randomly shit the bed out of nowhere. You're like,
Yeah,
what was
and I
that?
could see that too. Um, but yeah. So moving on to the next one, Bills and Jets. So obviously we talked about this a lot before, but this game determines who takes first place in the division. What do you think about it? What do you think is going to happen here? The mid off.
Yeah, it's a football game, I guess. I think they're going to be out there playing football.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just so mid, both of them.
Yeah, it's the mid off.
Yeah. I mean, think about the talking points. We're talking about firings and hirings, and was dude concussed? Like,
Yeah. Yep, absolutely, absolutely.
I like. It's just you watch it and you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah. Well, I had to put it in because it's your division, so you know that division.
Ooh,
But
so
it
bad
okay. So here's
division.
a question for you then: is that the worst division in football right now?
Yeah, yeah, unequivocally.
Worse than the AFC South?
Yeah, because the Texans are in the AFC South.
Yeah, but it's also the Colts, Jags, and Titans.
Yeah, that's true. Colts, Jags, and the Titans are a really nasty team. But I think the Titans line up against the Pats, ugh, dude.
My goodness. Yeah, no,
Oh
that
my, I'm not
it's
watching.
gonna break records ratings for the
Yeah,
lowest NFL game ever watched.
yeah, that's bad. And I think the best team in the AFC South is better than the best
The
team
best
in
team. That's fair.
yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, we
So
literally just saw it. Bills and
yeah,
Texans. So
and the Texans tried to give that game away.
yeah, they did.
So
But so perfect. So now that we know that that game is trash, no, I'm going to add one more here because I think this one is actually going to be a good watch. Lions Cowboys. I know that was one of the ones you had on your watch
yeah,
list.
on our shared doc.
Yeah, on the shared doc that I was
I
like
was
tripping
surprised
on.
you did not add that.
Well, I saw it and immediately was like, why didn't I add that? So,
Yeah.
but that's definitely one um, that obviously big implications for both teams, right? Because the Cowboys coming off a game that they also tried to give up against the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Lions coming in, I think they came in off the bye this last week. I think they had the early
Yeah,
bye.
I believe so. Yeah.
But Cowboys, I mean, they're kind of in a spot where they got to start stringing together some wins. But also, I mean, like, I don't know. I don't think they're very good. You know,
Nah.
like Dak Dak is good. CD is a great receiver. Mike is hurt. D-Law is hurt. I'm like, their defense is not great. Their offense is literally three guys. I'm like,
You're about to see a light show. That's what you're about to see.
you
You're
think
about
so?
to,
You think Dak's going to light it up?
yeah, I think both of them are.
Really? Okay.
Because Mike is hurt, so
Yeah.
he's gonna have time. I think historically they've had some pretty high scoring games recently, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're in for this. I think we're in for the same type of
See,
environment.
and you know what? And I think the opposite. And one also with the Lions side of it too. I mean, they're fighting in a division that's like difficult. Like that's
Very
a
good.
dogfight of a division between them, the Vikings, and the Packers.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a crazy division.
yeah. So, and who's the
And
fourth team in that
then
division?
Bears in the Bears. I
Oh,
mean,
and the Bears.
they all have winning records. And then
Yeah.
a couple of those teams aren't going to make the playoffs, and somebody from the AFC East is going to make the playoffs. It's disgusting shit.
Yeah.
That should
But
they
so
need to
like
go to. We need to go to the NBA conference type of. Yeah, this is
just
nasty.
East and West and just
Yeah,
everybody.
top 8, top 9. Go ahead and
Go
make
to the
it.
WNBA setup where it's just the top teams. The WNBA does the top 8 teams and no divisions, no
That's a little extra because
conference.
there's like 10 teams in that league, but I think
Yeah. Well,
I
that's
think
like
yeah,
that was
it's
what
nasty.
confused me. I didn't know it was like that until literally like 2 weeks ago when I was like, why are the Aces playing New York in the second round?
Yeah, that's
Like
dude, jeez.
that's wild.
That's brutal
But
travel.
oh yeah. But no, I think the Lions, I mean, obviously both teams it's big because Cowboys you got to keep up with the Commanders. And you got the Eagles right there with you.
Hmm.
Lions, you got that whole division. I think we see the Lions come out and blow the Cowboys' doors off.
Yep, and it's not ridiculous to say that. The Cowboys have
I
taken
mean,
some ass beatings in
yeah.
at
And
home.
they haven't won a game at home this year, which is weird because
Yeah.
they didn't lose a game at home all last year until the playoffs. But I just think with like you said, Micah's out, D-Law's out, so they're not
Mhm.
going to get any pressure on Goff. And Goff, for whatever he is a monster if he's got no pressure on him.
Yeah.
And then I think with their running backs, I mean, Dallas already can't stop the run. And
They
those
got two
running
of them.
backs, yeah, they got two running backs that can run it down your throat.
Pause.
And no, I didn't even want to pause on that.
Okay.
But no,
Okay.
and then again, I just think the Cowboys, they got one way to beat you, I think, and it's Dak throwing for 450 yards and Ferguson and CD having 80% of those yards.
And
And I just,
that's good football right there. I'm down to watch it.
hey, you know what? Me too. I got Ferguson on my fantasy team. So,
Mhm.
but all right. So moving on, those are kind of those top games to watch. Maybe not the Bills Jets. if you're looking for the mid off, maybe. But
Yeah.
so tell me a game that you're looking forward to watching and why that might not be like that marquee matchup.
Oh, Buck Saints, baby. I think,
Baker, man, you big Baker
man.
guy, huh?
Yeah, man. I always have been. I always like Baker, man. I think that that's gonna be a good game because both of those offenses have dynamic playmakers and they've shown that they could pop off.
Yeah,
Um, I will say Spencer Rattler in his first isn't
that's
he's
what I was going
starting,
to
right?
ask you. Yep.
Spencer Rattler in his first start. I'm excited to see if he can pick it up and sling some stuff around. I was high on Spencer Rattler. I knew that I wanted him when we took Joe Milton
Mm-hmm.
this year. I thought he was. I liked him because he transferred to South Carolina partly because they ran a pro style offense and he wanted to get pro style reps. So I
Mm-hmm.
was excited because when he came out, he had the most pro style reps out of anybody.
Yeah.
Um, and so I'm excited to see if that translates because
Yeah.
the first thing rookie quarterbacks do when they get to camp, they literally strip you down to the basics. You relearn how to drop back, you relearn how to get the ball under center, and I think he started out ahead. So I'm excited to see what he does. And then that defense is always good. And then it's always a heated matchup. That's a good rivalry. You got Mike
Yep.
Evans, who's just 1,000-yard machine. Godwin is a hell of a number two, man.
Yeah.
Hell of a number two. I like their young tight end Ottman, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they got Wirfs is a great young tackle, and I think that's
Yeah.
going to be a good game, and it'll tell us a lot about who each team is. It'll tell us more about who the Bucks are because
Yeah.
you have
I
the
think
backup coming in for the Saints.
yeah. And to your point, that was what I was going to ask you when I saw that you had the Saints Bucks, because I was like, well, no Derek Carr, but also I feel like that almost kind of intrigues me more because I was
Yeah,
just
what's
talking
up with
about
that?
this the other day. Rattler, at one point in college, Rattler was the guy that they were like, he's the next guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's going to be the number one pick. And obviously, he had some, bad seasons in college where, obviously stock fell.
Some
But
weird attitude things that people were
yeah,
reporting on.
but I mean, if you had the talent at one point where NFL teams were saying you can be a number one pick, it means you still have that talent. And so I'm actually really excited to kind of see what he does look like,
Me too.
because that could be starting to a whole nother thing of, okay, if he's looking great and Carr gets healthy, what does that look like?
Yep. If he strings off, if Carr's out for multiple, I don't know how long he's out for. If he's out for, let's say he's out for 4 weeks, Spencer
Mm-hmm.
goes 3-1.
You got a
Do we
controversy
ride it
there.
out?
Yeah. So I think that's a good one. I think, like you said, I don't think it's as much of with the Saints, like you said, like I don't think it's going to show us much of who they are unless Spencer does play well,
Mm-hmm.
because it is a backup. But the Bucks, I think this is almost a game like if you're the Bucks, you got to win it,
Yep.
especially because you're trying to keep pace with Atlanta, who's looking good, who you just lost to. So no, I think that is a good game, and I think good
Yep.
call on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So mine is actually going to be Bears Jags,
I
and
was
now
looking at that one and I was thinking, I was like, this is intriguing.
yeah,
But
so
I'm excited to hear what you're thinking about this.
So one, I just think Caleb, now that he's kind of in the system, he looks like he's getting much more comfortable. And apparently, it had come out that they were kind of training wheels on the offense with him to
Mm-hmm.
start the season.
Yeah.
And he went in and said, "Hey, we need to take this off if we're going to be good." And
Mm-hmm.
that's when you kind of saw that shift of him playing better and getting more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to see if that continues on, especially on like the weird week of being in London.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's a
Because
big game
that's,
for him for sure.
yeah, I think that's a game where, because of the travel and everything, it could be tough on a rookie QB who hasn't done that before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From
That's
the
a good point.
Jags point of view, I will say, if this game was in Chicago or even in Jacksonville, I probably wouldn't have it on here.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, the Jags playing in London,
Yeah, don't they
they
go
always play
crazy?
well. They're undefeated.
Yeah.
They're undefeated in London. And
Yeah. That's weird. I
So
never thought about that.
yeah, super weird. And I still think the Jags, like while their record doesn't show it, they've got talent on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
Like Trevor Lawrence, I I think we talked about it in the first episode where it's like this, I think, needs to be his breakout year. And up to this point, I mean, last week he had a solid game, but up to this point, he hasn't been great.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think with the win last week and playing well, like now is the time where you got to start stringing it together.
Mm-hmm.
And then from the Bears' point of view, I mean, I just think talked about it before the season started, talked about it that as far as the talent that they have on offense for Caleb, if Caleb is meant to be that guy, like this should be an offense that like puts up numbers, and their
Yeah.
defense has been solid this year. So I think trying to keep pace with the Vikings, trying to keep pace with the Lions. It's a game that they're going to have to win. And like I said, but it's also a weird spot for them with the travel to London. So I think this could actually be like an exciting game, just because
Are
for
you
whatever
waking
reason the
up at
Jags play
6:30
well.
in the morning to watch it? If
Probably.
I don't go out tonight, then yeah, I will for sure.
So here's the thing: what'll probably happen is what happens every London game for me. If it's a good one that I want to watch, is I have it recorded, and then I wake up at like 8 o'clock, and I start it from the beginning, and I fast forward through all the commercials and everything, and by the time like we're getting to the end of the game, I'm caught up. And so,
yeah, I like that. All right.
yeah, so that's probably because I'm probably not going to wake up at 6:30 to watch it, but I will do that.
Yeah, I might. It depends. If I'm chilling tonight, then I might wake up early and watch it.
Yeah, that 6:30 wake up time is just tough, man.
It's brutal. It's brutal. On a weekend too. It feels like it's harder on a weekend.
Yeah, on a non-work day.
Yeah.
So, perfect. So yeah, so y'all, if you're looking for some like big time mainstream games, I would say check those two out. Obviously, the London game, I guess, could be considered mainstream. I just don't think the teams warrant a mainstream game. So
right.
But perfect. So we're gonna talk a little bit about just some different hot topics here, man. So I want to start. I would say we could start with the Patriots, but there's just not much to talk about, honestly. So we're going to start with the Eagles. Yeah. I mean, Drake May coming in, though, so, there's that. We'll see what that looks like.
Yeah, it's going to be him running for his life.
Yes.
That line is pathetic.
Oh, man. So I was like, we got to get one of our teams in at least. And you know what? Now we got both of them in because that was everything for the Pats so far.
That's it.
But so the Eagles, man. So I came home last week, yeah, because I thought they should have fired Sirianni after that last game that they played. And I think going into the bye week, it gives you the perfect opportunity where it's like, oh, perfect. Like, give the new coach 2 weeks to get in and everything. And I know it's weird because I was just talking earlier about how Saleh, I'm like, I think it's weird firing somebody. But kind of, what are your thoughts with, one, rolling with Sirianni? Because personally now I think you have to stay with him the rest of the year, or you're punting on the season because it's so bad that you're not going to make the playoffs anyways.
I kind of feel a little bit different because it's like it was Super Bowl for real Super Bowl aspirations for the Eagles. You go in off of a bye week, lose to the Browns.
Fireable offense.
You have to fire.
Yeah, but then I feel like you just wasted a week. You wasted a game when you could have done that a week ago.
True. You could waste a game
2 weeks ago.
But then you keep Sirianni, and then he goes on that losing streak like you guys ended the year on.
Man,
and now you lost a year.
Yeah. No, true. Yeah, and I mean, apparently, so I don't know if you've like heard all this. I think I only heard it all because I'm like, I pay attention to him. But so obviously he doesn't call the plays anymore.
Sirianni?
No, yeah, he doesn't call the plays at all. Yeah, so he doesn't call the plays. He apparently, like, those decisions on fourth down and whatever, it's full, like, whatever the analytics that are run say, that's what happens. Like, there's no deviating from that for him. So it's literally just computer saying whether we're going for it or not.
So he's just the pump up guy in the locker room before the game to get you excited.
Except he's got a bad relationship with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, see, that's why I'm saying you lose this game, how much worse is the relationship gonna get?
Yeah, and that's one thing I'll say. It did come in that they asked Jalen Hurts about the relationship a few days ago, and he said, "Oh yeah, no, actually during the bye week we talked and we're really good now. Like, it's a better relationship." And I'm like, look, I love
Yeah,
Jalen.
but
I
then
think,
you lose to the Browns.
and that's the thing is, and I also don't think whether that happened or not, Jalen is great on the mic, great in an interview. I
Yeah,
don't think he's gonna. I mean, he's rode with Sirianni up to this point. Like,
true.
it literally had to come from other sources that there was there was an issue and a bad relationship. So yeah, no, I think, yeah, if you lose, like you said, if you lose to the Browns, you got to go. But man,
I'm
it makes
calling up. I'm calling up. If we lose to the Browns, he's gone. I'm calling up Bill. I'm calling up Rex Ryan. I'm calling up Rob Ryan. Every
yeah,
OG coach. I might
Vrabel.
find Vrabel. I might find Tom Coughlin. Like somebody, some OG old motivators coming in.
So here's the only other thing that I thought you have to monitor, though, if you don't fire him right away,
Mm-hmm.
is the Colts and Shane Steichen.
The Colts and who?
Shane Steichen. Or not the Colts, Carolina and Shane Steichen. Carolina
Oh,
and Shane
okay.
Steichen. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because obviously Carolina, terrible.
Poop. Yeah.
And if they end up getting rid of Shane Steichen, that's who Jalen had that monster almost MVP year with.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're the Eagles, do you wait and see, like, okay, we'll give it maybe even if you lose to the Browns, give it a few more games to see if maybe Carolina makes a decision and gets rid of him
Mm-hmm.
to hire him back?
It's a
Or,
gamble.
yeah, I mean,
Gamble.
look, I love the idea of going with, and I'm usually not a big proponent of defensive head coaches.
Me neither.
Honestly, what I'd love to do, ideal world, Shane Steichen gets fired this week. We fire Sirianni, hire Steichen, and then I'd bring in Salah as the DC.
That would be that you talk about a quick change in
But
direction.
you're
Yeah.
overhauling, you're overhauling your entire coaching staff at that point.
Which can be done because the good players on the Eagles are all vets. It's
Yeah,
not like a
and
young Texans team.
the defense is still not great, and so I
Yeah.
think that's why I would even be okay bringing in a defensive head coach like a Vrabel, a Belichick, like
Mm-hmm.
somebody who can get the defense right. Because I think the offense has so much talent, and if you just with handing the ball off to Saquon and then running off that, I think they'll be all right.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you don't have to go out and score 35 points to win a game, it'd be helpful.
I agree. Yeah,
And
it's a funky game. They got to win this one.
yeah,
Point
and
blank.
look, they got everybody back. AJ Brown's back, Devontae's back, like no Lane's back.
Yeah.
So if you lose to the Browns with that, yeah, you got to make a change. But
Mm-hmm.
so speaking of, like, obviously AJ Brown, Devontae receivers back in, we're gonna go to another receiver here, Devontae, man.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously comes out after Antonio Pierce liked an Instagram post about him wanting to leave, or about
Yeah.
Devontae leaving. Devontae's on the block now. I gave where I thought he'd be great fits last week, but tell me where you think he would be the best fit.
The Vikings.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Like
Wow.
100% the Vikings. If he went to the Vikings, oof,
Oh, I mean,
boy.
it'd be insane.
Yeah, I think that I don't know what you have to give up to get him. What they want to? They want a second,
They
third.
want a second, but I think from what I've heard, consensus around the league is he's worth a third, or he's worth a second if the Raiders swallow some of his salary. So, like, if the Raiders pay off a portion of the salary,
Mm-hmm.
then they could get a second for him. Which, if I'm the Raiders, like, who cares? You're tanking
Okay.
this
Yeah.
year anyways, and it's his last year on his deal.
Yeah. And Raiders are in rebuild mode anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do that without a doubt. Here's my second
Wow.
round pick.
Okay.
Yeah,
See, and
for
like
sure.
I thought, and my biggest one, the Vikings is crazy because you put him opposite side of JJ
Yeah, and you have Addison.
and Addison. Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, because the defense is good. They have a
Yeah.
really,
Oh,
really good
what's his
defense.
name? Flores is dialing it up over there. So
Yeah, because he just says blitz. He's
yeah,
like, all right, Tampa 2
it's
blitz.
like go get the quarterback.
Yeah, we're just gonna blitz out of cover 2 all game. But yeah, no, I'm doing whatever it takes because I'm trying to catch this lightning in a bottle. We started 5-0. Like,
Yeah,
let's go try and make something special happen. If I got to give up a second round pick for Devontae,
yeah.
and
No,
that's
that could.
gonna, man,
Yeah, I think that puts him in instant like
they're
contender mode. I
yeah,
think there's the
they're the
favorites in the
favorites to go to the
NFC.
conference championship for
Yep.
sure. I'm doing that.
Yeah.
That's If they're not doing that, something's wrong.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I love
Do they
that
have?
pick. I
Hold on,
mean,
let me see if do the Vikings have their pick?
yeah, they should. I don't think they've given up anything recently.
Let me just confirm because I'm gonna feel like an idiot if
Yeah.
they don't have pick.
It's like, yeah, you can't give it up. Sorry. You got a first. That's it.
Wait, hold on.
They don't have it?
I don't think so.
Wow, really? That's
Wait, wait,
weird.
wait, wait, wait.
I'm like, who did they give it up to?
Oh my, this hurts. A first round pick. They have a first round pick and 2 fifths.
Wow.
That I something told me I was like, wait a minute, what do they
What
have?
about next year? Because that may be worth it as far as like give them a second next year. Because I mean, you're trying to go all in right now, right? With Darnold on
Yeah,
this small deal, 5-0.
yeah. I can't. Why can't I find this? Hold on. What? I don't know. I can't find it. But I'm doing everything I can.
Yeah,
I'm doing everything I can to
outside of
make
a
it
first
happen.
round pick, or you if they
I
if you have
can't
to,
give cause I can't give
yeah,
up a first round pick because we're left with 2 fifths.
yeah, and well, and his contract's up this year. Like he's gone
Yeah.
unless you pay him again. So
See that I'm glad I looked that up.
yeah,
Is that
no,
I
I
was like,
think
why are they not doing this?
yeah, that would be crazy. I mean, from a team standpoint, I think yeah, that'd be insane. I also like I said last week, I think the Bills because like I said earlier, like they need somebody who can win on the outside.
Yeah.
But
And do the Bills have the draft pick?
the Bills have the draft pick to do it.
Okay.
But they're one of the teams because of the salary that they would need the Raiders to take a portion of it.
Yep. That
So
seems like the best bet, honestly.
yeah,
Damn, man, the Vikings hurt my heart, dog.
that would have been wild though.
Who
Hey,
did
you know
you
what? That's
give
a
up?
solid pick though. Yeah, I don't know where their picks went.
Oh
That's
my
weird.
god.
But
I'm
no, you know
hurt,
what? I
dog.
hadn't seen the Vikings. I hadn't heard the Vikings. Obviously, probably that's the reason why. But I mean, like I didn't even think about that because I'm like, oh, they're set at receiver with JJ and Addison. Like they're good.
Yeah,
Aaron
but
Jones in the backfield. But
if
yeah,
all
I
you have
mean,
to do is give up a second and you have the rest of
yeah,
your picks, yeah,
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 that could be crazy.
yeah. I'm
Hmm.
doing that immediately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Depending on what their draft capital next year looks like, maybe do something with that.
Let
Overpay
me see.
for a chance, but yeah, I don't know.
Oh, this is brutal.
You looking it up?
Um, I'm trying to look up. I'm just gonna sound like a absolute fan of the team, but hey, them Buccaneers, dog.
Look, that would be another. I mean, that receiving core: Devontae, Mike Evans, and Godwin.
Mm-hmm. That'd be a fun
So,
one to watch too.
so, so then I just got to ask: then, did you just move with Brady down to Tampa Bay, or
But what's
is that
crazy
your
is
squad now? Or
I didn't want the Bucks to win. Actually, I didn't care as much. I think I care more now that it's Baker.
okay, fair enough. No,
Because
I like Baker.
I've
I'm
always
glad to see that he's
yeah
like dealing.
yeah
Um,
I like Baker.
yeah, no, I do. I look, as if there was any silver lining in them dog walking the Eagles last year, it was like, well, Baker's going to get the
It's
contract. Like,
Baker.
that's
Yeah.
dope. Yeah.
Hmm.
So another wide receiver though that's possibly on the move here. So I don't know if you saw. So Tyreek
Hmm.
kind of flirting with the Chiefs reunion. So the other
Like actually
day,
next year.
I don't know when. I mean, I can't see him being available this year because I think the Dolphins are thinking we're going to get Tua back. We won a game with Tua out. We're going to get Tua back if we can just hold water. And then once Tua's back, we should be contending for a
Yeah.
championship. Like, I
Yeah.
think
Because
that's their thoughts.
that
And like I
that
said,
would
the
make sense.
division's
Who?
not great. So I think that's their thoughts. So I can't see them unless everything goes like unless it's like, yeah, we're not going to get Tua back to week 15.
Yeah. What are we doing?
Yeah,
They were saying
then
what week 8? I think they were saying week
yeah,
8.
week 8, and they have a bye week also
Mm-hmm.
in sprinkled before that. So I mean, realistically, you got what, 2 more games?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2 more games
Maybe
before
hope
he's
so.
back. Yeah, and so if you can win one more of those, I don't know what their schedule is, um, but yeah, apparently Tyreek on his Snapchat posted 45 minutes of highlights of him and Mahomes, and
Wow.
then was like, "What? Like, there'll never be another connection like this," or something like that. Now,
Ew, dude.
look, look. Now, Tyreek, I think, is definitely the kind of person who would just troll and post something like this just to do it.
Yeah.
And he did come out and he was like, "No, like I love it here in Miami, blah blah blah." But also, you don't post 45 minutes of highlights of your old team, who just so happens their number one receiver went out for the year.
And he felt some type of way. He admitted he felt some type of way when they won their chip.
Yeah, and so it's like, and stuff in Miami's not going great right now. So there's talks of, would there be a reunion this year? The Chiefs trying to trade for him. Again, I don't think Miami would do it. But what are your thoughts on it? Like, if you're
I
the
don't think
Chiefs,
there's
obviously you do
enough.
whatever you can to get him, I
Yeah.
would assume. But
I don't know if there's enough legs on that transaction happening.
yeah,
What are the Dolphins going to get from getting I just don't what could the
yeah,
Dolphins get to replace Tyreek?
nothing. It would have to be, that's what I'm saying. It would have to be like draft capital.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, look, obviously the Chiefs are looking, I would assume, to replace Rasheed. I can't see it happen with Tyreek because, like I said, and unless stuff just goes horribly wrong with the Dolphins, or Tyreek just makes it, I'm not going to play anymore. Like, you
Right.
have to trade me. But
Right.
I think the Chiefs are probably going to end up maybe looking at somebody. I floated last week, Amari Cooper. If the Browns keep kind of tanking like this, they're probably going to start looking to offload to rebuild.
Yeah.
I could see them going for somebody like that. I also just can't see any team that's like in the business of trying to win anytime soon helping the Chiefs. Like,
Right.
like it
Mm-mm.
just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So, but it's just it's interesting where it's like you have all these reports come out of, oh, Tyreek might want to be traded and the Chiefs need a receiver. And then
It
like
just
2 days
never really
later he posts 45 and on Snapchat. 45
yeah,
minutes on
weird.
Snapchat?
It's a lot
That's
right now.
insane.
Yeah,
So
I don't really see that.
yeah, it's hard for me to see, but it's something where it's like you got to watch it because it's just like
Yeah.
it's weird.
It would be cool to see if they could figure it out cuz
Oh
I
man,
miss seeing Tyreek on regular national games.
yeah,
But who would I'm not helping the Chiefs out, man. The three-peat?
exactly. That's
No.
the thing because then
I'm
you're the team that
colluding with
helped the
every other
Chiefs.
owner. Yeah,
Yeah.
bro. I'm colluding with every other owner. You're not getting this three-peat. You're not getting this three-peat, dog.
Oh man. All right. Well, let's wrap it up, man. I want you to give me your top 5 teams right now.
Ooh. Okay. Okay. I did a little bit of homework here in no
Okay.
particular order. I
Oh
have.
no, I need an order. I need an order
Oh my gosh. Okay. I got the Chiefs at 1
if you
because
can.
until you beat them, they're number 1.
Yep.
I got the Vikings at 2, Texans 3, Lions 4, good old Buccaneers 5, baby.
Wow.
I'm riding with them. I'm because they're 3-2, but
Hmm.
I do take stock into how you looked losing, and they could
Okay.
have very easily been 4-1. And I think that they didn't look bad in that loss. And the pieces are they play good defense, and they play great. I mean, great situational football. Like,
Okay.
end of halves, end of
Yeah.
games, timeout management, um, play call management, off the charts. I think it's really, really good, and that wins you
Hmm.
football games. And then you have the veteran presence of Mike Evans, Baker, Wirfs is a staple of that offensive line. Godwin is crazy. They got they have a chance to do something special.
Okay. Over the Falcons is wild
I
because
just
like
don't trust them, dude. 28
I
to
feel it.
3.
I feel it. I feel it.
Yeah,
The whole different staff team as 10 years ago.
yeah, man. But still, it happened.
Oh, I feel it. Okay. No,
I
I
don't
like I
trust
like
them.
the Bucks. I think they're like in that 7 to 9 range for me right now.
Yeah.
Only because like to me, I saw you play the Falcons. They have a better record and they beat you. Granted, it was a go either
Well,
way
the
game.
Falcons, they have the same record as the Falcons.
Yeah, yeah, but Falcons in first place in the division, right? Yeah,
Oh
because they
yeah,
beat
yeah,
the
yeah,
Bucks. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think they're like close. Like full transparency, I have the Falcons at 6. So they're literally right behind them.
Yeah,
But
they're always yeah.
or no, 7. I have the Falcons at 7. So yeah, right behind them. But
Mhm.
so my top 5, I got a few of the same. So same Chiefs number 1, like you said. I mean, until you beat them, they're the 2-time Super Bowl champions. I don't care how bad they look. I saw them look bad all last year and they
Super
still
Bowl.
won a Super Bowl. So I don't care how bad they look this year and they played great teams and they won. So they're number 1. Number 2, I have the Ravens. So
I don't trust them.
it's I got to lean on the fact that Lamar has like an 85% win percentage in the regular season,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I with what I saw this year, I mean, look, they're a size 10 shoe instead of a 13 shoe away from beating the Chiefs.
Mhm. Mhm.
Well, having a chance to either tie or beat the Chiefs.
Yep.
You run up 40 on the Bengals, beat them. Granted, you tried to give it away, but then you didn't.
Always. Yeah.
So the Raiders one, I can kind of just chalk up to, you know, you fell asleep
Any
at the
given
wheel,
Sunday.
up big, yeah, and whatever,
See, but
and
you
it's the
said it
Raiders.
there. Up big.
Yeah, no,
Up
I look, I
big.
get
That is
it.
the goddamn theme.
It is, and they did the same thing with the Cowboys, but pulled it out. So I get the hesitancy with them. Just to me, again, it goes back to like I said earlier, the number one team. If I'm an opposing team, I don't want to play as the Chiefs because again, they just find ways to win. And you got Mahomes, you got Kelsey. They
Hmm.
just find ways to win. Reed. The second team I would not want to play is the Ravens. Like it's just
Yeah, I
I don't
totally
want to
understand.
play them because I
Hmm.
just know they can run it up on me. And yeah,
Hmm.
they can let me back in it, but it's just yeah, Lamar wins too much in the regular season, and so again, this is just through the regular season.
Yeah,
So
makes sense.
to where we're at. So but yeah, 3, I got the Commanders because the qualities of wins they've got. I think obviously the Ravens, this one will be big as far as whether they stay in that kind of top
Hmm.
3 or because one of them's getting bumped down. Like they're not
Yep.
going to both stay 2 and 3. So, but I love the way I think Jaden, the way he's playing, looking amazing. Like he's been almost unstoppable. I love their weapons on offense. Defensively, obviously needs some work, but yeah. So love them. 4, I got the Vikings again, undefeated. And I feel bad putting them at 4. I wanted to put them at 3, but something about the last 4 years, 5 years I've seen of Sam Darnold. And then last week he didn't look great, granted against a great defense.
Yeah.
I'm a little hesitant with that.
Okay.
I mean, they've looked great. They got crazy weapons, but
Defense
I also saw defense is great, but I saw that when Aaron Jones went out, Sam Darnold suffered very much so for it. So that's where I'm like, I'm a little hesitant with him. One more week and they might be second, but
I might be a little early on it, but
look. And then number 5, I got the Texans again. Like, I don't think they've really beaten anybody great, and I think the Nico Collins thing, depending on how they can bounce with that and how they look after that, I might see the Lions in there next week instead of the Texans. But I like the talent they have, because even with Nico out, you still got talent on offense, and your defense is still great. So you should still be able to win games. So those are my top 5. Kind of on that bubble, like I said, I had the Lions, Falcons, Bucks, and Niners all kind of like, I could put them at that 5 spot. I think everybody Texans down, like that I just listed, could all have been in 5th.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
But yeah, man. So I appreciate you coming on. Any final thoughts on this week? Anything?
Man, I just hope we keep losing. I hope the Patriots keep losing.
You know what? I think that's a good bet.
Watch Genty this weekend if you can.
Okay.
Or watch his highlights.
Okay. I'll take a look at him.
Maybe.
Oh, I got one more question for you. Not football related, basketball. How you feel about the Karl Anthony Towns trade?
I thought it was just confusing.
Yeah, same.
Really, really odd. It was just, why is when I saw it, I was like, why?
Yeah.
For what? What are we doing?
Yep.
Either team exponentially better or worse. It was a thing that they did.
Yeah. I said I liked it from the Knicks perspective. I think it gives you like a true like A-level talent on your team.
Mm-hmm.
That's don't true. Get it at all from the the Timberwolves. Like,
me neither.
At all. You bring in a non-shooter, and you basically are trading for a role player in DiVincenzo, Julius Randle, who I assume you're probably trying to trade, who no one wants, because there's no way Julius Randle fits next to Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, the court just shrunk for Minnesota.
Well, that's to say, you got to start Naz Reid, right? Like, you have to, because he can spread the floor. So, yeah, I don't know. From a team that was just in the Western Conference Finals, I think it's weird.
Do that?
Yeah. That's what I was saying. I think there's got to be something else going on.
Got to be. Somebody didn't have draft picks or something.
Yeah. I think what I honestly think, the only thing I could think that would make sense to me if it comes out is like Cat was like, I don't like being the second to Anthony Edwards.
That doesn't even seem like him, though,
I don't know. He's a little sassy.
Right. But he just doesn't seem like the kind of guy who's like, I want to be number one. He seems like the kind of guy
because he's like, I want to be number one.
Oh, man. One day, if and when you get traction and more viewers, I hope he sees that.
Oh, my gosh. You know what? Hey, you know what? If you do, Cat, bro, you're welcome on the podcast. It'll be crazy.
God. Let me, I want to be a fly on the wall for that one.
Oh, bro, I'll let you know. You can join in. You'll be the guest on that one.
Yeah, I will.
Oh, man. But nah, hey, I appreciate you, man, as always. Everybody, appreciate y'all for tuning in. As always, like and subscribe. YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts. And yeah, we'll see y'all next week. And hey, shout out again, Joey. Appreciate you coming on, man.
Yes, sir.